Hello, everyone. Welcome to another DCU Daily. It's the end of the week. We're rounding out the end of the week, so of course we're going to be talking about all sorts of things that we usually talk about at the end of the week, like box office, for instance. Of course, we're going to be talking about that and how, fucking Avatar is just cleaning up shop already. I'm going to talk about its previews that happened yesterday, as well as the projections for this upcoming weekend, as well as audience score for Rotten Tomatoes that just dropped, as well as any other bits and pieces in regards to Avatar Fire and Ash, including my review of the film as I saw it earlier today. So I was like, you know what, let me drop that for you guys. Is it worth it? Is it not? Well, we'll have to wait and see, because, we'll see. Maybe it's actually good this time. Maybe it's not tropey crap, but you have to wait for that a little bit. Of course, now we're also going to be bringing back hot take debate. We have some of your hot takes, including a hot take from a certain somebody claiming that a famous Christmas film is not a famous Christmas film. So we're going to be talking about that. Of course, we're going to talk about MCU Weekly and a bit of MovieTalk Madness in regards to Bond, Labubu, Warner Brothers, and even Star Wars. So all of that and more. And then quick hits. Of course, we have our famous quick hits that are really not so quick, but we like to talk. We like to hear ourselves talk a lot, unfortunately. And then we have DCU Daily. Not a ton of news today, but we do have a little bit of Supergirl update. And then, of course, we shall end the show with a Q&A session. So, it is Friday. We're going to try and be more regular with that. But guys, you got to leave more comments, because then we can't, talk about your comments without your comments. So, give us all those and we'll obviously talk about them. But of course, let's get into the news right now and start the show proper.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always the number two.
All right, Mr. I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding. You're kidding. I can't open the envelope without the...
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne.
I like that. And you're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
What the
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Wow.
All right, here we are. Welcome to the news. I am, of course, your host, John. Welcome to the final day of the week. Of course, not just a late night DCU Daily, but we are, in fact, also going to be doing a Fancast Friday, which is all about the X-Men. If it wasn't for the Rob Reiner Tier List Tuesday, we would have had an X-Men fueled week. But we're going to have to wait for Fox X-Men ranking for Tier List Tuesday next week. But, we're going to be talking a lot of X-Men. A lot of X-Men in terms of what you guys want to see. So hopefully you guys like that, and we'll be getting into that. But before we talk about X-Men, let's talk about some blue men with Avatar, Fire and Ash. I think that's a great segue. Anyway, so Avatar, Fire and Ash. The projections are up. Also, hello to Hosea, Caleb, and Monique in the chat. Lovely to see you all. Avatar Fire and Ash is apparently flying to an 86 million to 90 million opening. Housemaid and David in a tiff for number 2 with, around $20 million a piece with all of that. Now, these aren't the only projections that we've talked about in regards to Fire and Ash, because we talked about way back when it was... a bit, interesting in regards to what Fire and Ash would be. A lot of people were saying, oh, it's going to make 120, then it went down to 100. So now it seems like it's going down to at least 90 million, which was my which was my prediction, because with how all the other Avatar films were doing in terms of projections, they would always go out a little bit lower. Like, for instance, the projections for Way of Water was 120, and then it opened at around 110. The projections for this were 100. So I'm like, that's probably going to be 90. And wouldn't you know, it's probably going to be 87 to 90 million. So, 90 million is the higher end. Of course, the more conservative estimates are around 84 to 88 million, as I just said. So with all of that, it seems like as though that the Friday numbers, this is all for domestic, by the way, that the Friday numbers are in fact at 37 million today, with, in addition to last night's 12 million, which we can see right here. It has made 12 million so far in US previews. However, Avatar Fire and Ash has already earned north of $60 million overseas from its first raft of midweek markets, including an impressive opening day tally of at least 17 million in China, because China loves their blue people. They don't like black people, but they do love blue people. So that's something, I guess. But in regards to Fire and As, am I right? Everything changed when the Fire Navi attacked. Anyway, but it seems as though Avatar is faring as well as we all kind of predicted. Gotta love some eggnog. But that's not it for Avatar. We got to talk about overseas. So Avatar Fire and Ash ignites with $43 million across first 2 days overseas for the international box office. So in regards to all of this, 43.1 million start across 2 days at the international box office. That includes 18 markets that opened on Wednesday and another 25 which joined the Navi on Thursday. Among the debuts, the 20th Century Studios / Disney Sci-Fi Adventure posted the highest opening day of 2025 in Australia, France, Germany, Italy, Denmark, Belgium, Netherlands, Switzerland, Iceland, New Zealand, Indonesia, non-local, and Thailand, non-local, as well as several smaller European markets. And then, of course, this doesn't include China. We already talked about that, albeit briefly, is that it's made at least 17 million. 17 million in China. So, it's tracking to be open domestically. Now, these are different from Deadline's numbers, but what the Hollywood Reporter is saying is that it'll be around 95 to 105 million range if we're being really nice. And then it's 134 opening earned by Avatar: The Way of Water. I could have sworn it was lower, but I could be wrong on that. I apologize. So with all of this, it seems as though Avatar, to the shock of no one, is going to be doing quite well for itself in the upcoming box office. And, Avatar is one of the few that has the longevity. So also, hello, Elite Easy. Lovely to see you. Apologies for the late night showing, but here we are. So obviously we are going to be talking about a little bit. Oh,
sorry,
hi,
John. Just wanted to add a little bit. I know that the numbers are the predictions are different for the opening weekend still, from depending on where which outlet you're looking at. They're all expecting the weekend numbers to pick up as we get closer to Christmas, because they're hoping that it's gonna pick up as the weekend goes on, which usually the Saturdays are the best days for movies in terms of making money, and then Sundays tend to be a bit of a drop. So here we might see that Sunday keeps on building on Saturday. So we'll see. And then next weekend, given that next weekend is Christmas, the Christmas weekend, essentially an extension of Christmas, the hope is that even if it opens under 100 this weekend, that it will keep doing well. So, and China's doing great. China's off to a good start, and we know what it did for Zootopia too. So, 2 billion is still a lot to ask, considering, what all the other movies are doing. But Avatar's, so far, the franchise seems to be immune to outside effects from the economy and industry as a whole. So, we'll see. I think 1.5 is more realistic if you were to ask my prediction, but it's off to a good start. But yeah, the Rotten Tomatoes score dropped from 70% finally. I saw that.
It ain't gonna flop, bro. It ain't gonna flop. It's not flopping. But now it depends on if we're gonna get Ghosts of Hiroshima or Avatar 4 next from James Cameron. But we're gonna get Avatar 4, and we're most likely gonna get Avatar 5. So, calm down. Here we are.
Yeah, I mean, like, what do you think? Do you think this is a good start for
As
the
I've
movie?
said, I don't think it'll make $2 billion, but I think it'll get close. Because remember, Way of Water came out. Way of Water came out like there was that huge gap. Like originally, the second movie was supposed to come out in 2014, but constant delays, it pushed that to 2022. So now, and then after a couple delays with Fire and Ash, this is coming out in 2025. So, there's a huge gap between 2009 and 2022. Almost, over 10 years between movies. So there was a lot of hype and buildup for the people that wanted to see more of these movies. So with that, they, I think there was more punch to it. And with that, they, got its 2 billion, but now it's only been 3 years. And while the hype is still there for the people that still see these movies, I don't think it's as big as, that over 10-year gap. So I think it's going to make a lot of money. It's going to make it's still going to make over $1 billion, which is still a lot, but I don't think it's going to quite reach that 2 billion unless they like keep doing re-releases every 3 weeks to get it to 2 billion like they did with like Way of Water and shit like that. So
Yeah, no, I think it's well, it's hard to tell if 2 billion is out of the picture just yet because the first Avatar opened to similar numbers. The second one is the standout, if anything, because that's the only one that would be 100 million plus opening if this new one doesn't cross that threshold. So, like 2 out of the 3 would have opened under 100, and then the last 2 did make 2 billion. So, I'm just saying that it's not out of the question, but I think it's more a matter of like how everything else has been doing recently. Like we have fewer billion-dollar movies these days, and as a whole, the genre seems to be, well, just big blockbusters don't seem to make as much money as they used to. So that's probably more why people think that this is more repetitive. I think I've heard that criticism a lot, that this movie starts to feel a little bit like the first one, has some of the same stuff from the second one, and it's like, third time turns out is not the charm but then again, a lot of people love it. So let's keep on talking about it. And John, 55 million from just Thursday previews. That's the worldwide preview number, so that
worldwide
includes domestic, international. So
yeah,
it could still open to like 365 million worldwide, which is not bad at all.
Who knows? Yeah. I mean, Fire and Ash has been, kind of going back and forth between like over 70 and below 70, like around the 68 to 72 million or 72% mark on Rotten Tomatoes, but it seems like it's kind of staying there. Obviously, we'll talk about the what the audience score is when we get into the review of the film, but it seems like it's shaping up to a proper box office explosion, whatever it may be. So yeah, we'll see. But in terms of the last bit we've gotten in terms of Avatar, it's less about the box office, more about the 3D of the film. James Cameron tells us he studied real neuroscience to minimize the risk of headaches while watching Avatar Fire and Ash in 3D. When people say they get eye strain watching 3D, it's not eye strain, it's brain strain. And I will say, I did not get brain strain from this film. When I did go see it in 3D, only because I wanted to see it in Dolby, because the only Dolby showing that was non-3D was like 10:30 at night. I would like still be in the movie now. Like that shit gets like done at like, especially if the movie starts at 11, because there's half an hour of previews now. You're getting out of that movie at like 2 in the morning, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. That's absolutely nonsense. The fact that you're keeping these poor workers in until 2 in the morning because you had to put in a Dolby screen for Avatar at 10:30 at night, that's fucking ridiculous. Who the fuck is going to see Avatar Fire and Ash at 10:30 at night? That's what I want to know. I might have to look that up later because that's ridiculous, because I can look it up on like the shit on my phone. But anyway, so I watched the 3D version. Rarely are movies in 3D. Like a couple of movies are in 3D. This is one of the few that's in 3D. And I thought the 3D was pretty good. Like, I'm not a huge fan of it because the thing is, I need glasses to see, and you need glasses to use the 3D. So for the most part, most of the pain I felt when I was wearing them is like they closed the bridge of like my nose. So like it was hard to breathe after a while. So I had to remind myself to like tip the glasses so I could like breathe properly. But that's not like their fault. It's the fact that like I have to, see, and I don't wear contacts, so I have to put the glasses on. It would be really cool if they could like find a way to um like have like clip-ons for glasses. Like here you get like a special like clip-on like 3D glasses. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, well, I was gonna just say, as in terms of what James Cameron is talking about here, the reason. So,
Yep. Sorry, I
oh,
was pulling
it's
up a
I was
photo
just
of the hold on. Here's the by the way, here are the glasses that look at these fucking things. These are chonkers.
yeah,
They're
they're pretty
huge.
well because it's so the thing so it's active 3D, right? So the glasses
Yeah.
have batteries in them and they're actually refreshing at the same rate as the screen is, so that way you see like a coherent image, which is something that James Cameron talks about here in this video from discussing film. It's basically the idea is like apparently James Cameron did this research, like he asked the scientists about this and figured out because that's what James Cameron does. Like he's a very intelligent dude, but and he's always been pushing the boundaries of technology with filmmaking. So there's a reason why Avatar movies tend to have way more 3D showings, like you said, like Dolby like had basically 3D showings till like midnight, because that's what James Cameron wants you to watch it in, because it makes it more immersive. And unlike most 3D movies that go through post conversion, where they're not actually being filmed in 3D, these movies are filmed in 3D for a more natural 3D experience. But they're also at the same time like the eye strain, according to what James Gunn was talking about, like he's saying the reason why he uses high frame rate, which by the way you can talk about how you felt about that high frame rate, because it kind of comes and goes throughout the movie, like it's not consistent. You can talk about it in your review in a bit, but what James Cameron was saying is that part of the reason why humans get eye strain, it's not really eye strain, it's brain strain, because there's a subset of neurons in our brain that are dedicated to kind of perceiving parallax, which is how that's how we perceive 3Ds, like this is parallax. And because in traditional frame rates, like your traditional 24 frames per second in movies, the vertical, because the way the active 3D works is it's creating like it's refreshing the image in like this vertical like slits essentially, and then the glass is gonna marry the pieces together for you, so they're in like there's basically two images playing at the same time, like in alternate like line pixel lines. And in traditional frame rates at 24 frames per second, that's not refreshing fast enough, and it kind of and it's also like overwhelms our neurons, because our neurons are not able to perceive natural motion. Basically the fundamentals of filmmaking is like moving pictures, right? And then it's an illusion that they look like it's like a movie to us. In fact, they're just pictures going by fast enough. So in 3D, the traditional frame rate just doesn't quite work for us. Like our brains get strained. That's why our heads start hurting if you're watching a 3D movie for a long time, like 2 hours, like this is 3 hours long. So a high frame rate sort of like recreates that illusion of motion in 3D in a more natural way, and therefore our brain doesn't have that strain happening. And so when you walk away from watching Avatar, outside of if the glasses are physically hurting you, that's one thing, but your head isn't hurting from watching 3D. Because I remember the first time I watched Man of Steel in 3D and my head was hurting after I finished watching it. And no, not because of the quality of the movie, it was specifically because I was watching it in 3D, because I'd already seen it many times before in 2D. And that used to happen a lot with people, and that's partly why also 3D kind of fell by the wayside. But it's interesting again, like that James, there's reason for everything, I guess, the way this movie is being presented. Like he would want you to watch it in 3D on the biggest screen possible, and so you have the high frame rate. So Anyway, there you go. I don't know, John.
You could definitely
it's
tell the frame rate
yeah.
difference. And I will say there was a bit of lag in terms of the active 3D. That's probably because
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, how the fuck is this laggy? That doesn't make sense. But if it's active 3D, then I'm like, okay, that makes sense. It's not bad. It was just like, it's like pretty new technology for the most part. So, it makes sense that it's probably a little laggy. But it's still like it still looked fine. It still looked good. So whatever. No skin off my nose. But yeah, that's it for the Avatar
The box office side of things.
kind of sort of. Obviously we're going to be getting into the review portion of it all. And get the fuck out of here because you didn't see it, I saw it, and we're going to talk about it. So we are going to be getting into Avatar: Fire and Ash. Let's roll up that music. Where is the music? There it is. Kind of sounds like the score a little bit. Anyway, so Avatar: Fire and Ash. I did go see it today. 3 whole hours of it, and goddamn, what a movie. Does that mean quality? Well, not really. As you know, I remember now when I went to go see the first Avatar years and years ago when I was a little 12-year-old John just heading to the theater, and I've saw it like multiple times, I'm pretty sure. Like I think I saw it in IMAX when that was like starting to like IMAX was more than just for like nature documentaries. It was starting to like have like a purpose. But I remember I loved the movie. I thought it was like the greatest, like kind of everything you saw as a kid. Like it was like the greatest thing ever. Oh my God. But looking back, it's really not that great. Kind of a generic story, mediocre plot, surface level themes, but it looked pretty. So, that's something. And people love the world. They were like killing themselves because they couldn't live in Pandora or whatever the fuck. So, whatever, but it's an okay movie. It's perfectly serviceable. And then Way of Water comes out. I saw that. I was meant to see it on it was originally called the BTX screen back before AMC bought out my Bowtie Cinemas, and the projection burnt out, so I had to go see it on a regular boring movie theater screen. And I thought it was perfectly fine. It was a little bit better than the first. I thought it was relatively okay. Again, it looked amazing, had really cool action sequences, but I cannot tell you most of the plot because I have forgotten most of it. Now we get to Avatar: Fire and Ash. And I will say, it's the best out of the 3. That's not saying much, but it's technically the best out of the 3. This is going to sound dumb because most of this movie is incredibly repetitive of the previous movie, but it's kind of the most original a little bit. I mean, it's still repetitive as fuck. It redoes like half of the second movie, but it does some interesting new ideas, I guess. Obviously, first things first, obviously the visual effects are amazing. This thing is 100% going to win the best visual effects Oscar. It's 110% going to win. Exactly. That is essentially what these movies are. You see them for the effects and the world building. That's all you see these for. You don't see them for story. You don't see them for depth. You don't see them for theming and all this other shit. You see them because they look pretty on a big screen and in 3D. That's all you see these for, and that's what this does. So I didn't expect to like this one. I liked, or to love it, I should say. I expected something okay, and I got something okay. I thought the acting from everyone is fine. Sam Worthington is there. Like, he still can act, and he's still an asshole from the last movie. Like, Sam Worthington as Jake Sully in the first one was, like, the most boring protagonist ever. And in these two movies, he's just, like, a total asshole. And then he, like, switches... like at the very end of like, hey, I see you now, and then they switch back, and then they switch forward. It's like, okay, like what are we doing here? But Sam Worthington, he's not as good as any of the other actors in this movie, like Zoe Saldana, Cliff Curtis, Kate Winslet, Stephen Lang, Una Chaplin as the Azula Fire Lord Ozai paradigm over here. I thought everyone did a good job. I like the guy who plays Spider. I thought he was really good. The littlest Jake Sully kid barely does anything throughout most of this movie. And then Luwak, I think his name was, like the kid that survived the last movie. The second oldest, I think he was essentially he's fine. And then I will say, I just like Sigourney Weaver as like a teenager is still so very distracting. Like I can tell it's her, and it's just so awkward because you could tell they like adjust the pitch of her voice, and it's just awkward as hell. It just to me, I don't know what the hell this is on the. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, but it's just awkward as hell. Like it's. I'm not saying it's a bad performance, but like it's just kind of fucking lame and mediocre. In terms of the visual effects, as I said, they're amazing. Like look at this. This is I think concept art, but this is still like absolutely beautiful in every sense of the word. You got like the Apocalypse Now vibes. The stuff with the Water Tribe was great. You have the Air Nomads. Oh, sorry, the Wind Traders. Here, and then you have the Fire Nation. Oh, sorry, the Mogwai Tribe. You have that as well, and then of course you have like a trillion subplots that never really go anywhere. Like you have the there's like this subplot with Neytiri. She's like trying to get over the loss of the son from the first movie, and it's just and it kind of brings up some ideas about like faith, what the religion is in this movie. They kind of Awa and all that shit. Obviously they've talked about that, but this could have been like, oh, they could actually go like really in depth on this, and then they just don't. They just don't. And then there's the stuff with like the whales, where it's like save whales, and it's like cool, I guess. Like there's like a thing in the beginning, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Why does this matter? Who is this? Why do I care? And then it comes in at the very end, and it's just like, that's just kind of it. Then you have the whole idea of like, oh, Jake is not dealing with the loss of his son properly. That goes nowhere. The fucking Air Nomad Tribe, the Wind Traders, are in the movie for like 10 minutes. They don't really amount to much because they like fucking showed off all these really cool effects with the air balloons and all that. And they have like 10 minutes of screen time, and they all get killed off by the halfway point. So yeah, like honestly, they get killed off by like the end of the first act, I'm pretty sure. And then you have the Fire Tribe. I think it was the Mogwai or something like that, some fucking stupid name that I can't remember. I think they're pretty good villains. They're a little bit one-dimensional, but the thing is, everything in Avatar is fucking one-dimensional. Nothing has depth whatsoever. And that's what it is. It's just like they're one-dimensional bad guys, just like the humans are one-dimensional bad guys. Because like, oh hey, did you know colonization and humans are bad? Wow, crazy. You've said that the last 3 fucking movies, James. We fucking know humans are evil. We got it. We're good. Can you please like make something of substance here? I will say the little bits and pieces they actually hold on to, like the stuff with Spider, spoiler alert, I mean this is a spoiler review. So Spider, like due to a thing that Sigourney Weaver's character Kiri does, is he now has the ability to breathe on Pandora. Like as a human he can breathe now. And so the main plot in like the second half of the movie is about like getting him so that Giovanni Ribisi can like experiment on him and humans gain the ability to breathe on Pandora. So that's like that main thing. And then you have the whole overarching thing of like Stephen Lang trying to get Jake and he's using the help of the military, the fire tribe, all this other shit. You know, so it's like, yeah, all right, cool, great. But honestly, the most that comes, I will say, I like the stuff with Quaritch. I think it's okay. I think it's you know, oh, 100%, 100%. But I think like Quaritch, like embracing the Navi side, you could say that's repetitive of the first movie, but like Jake Sully wasn't this like hardcore super duper racist man, so it's like, yeah, it's a little bit different. But I love how his entire subplot is essentially Quaritch being a passport bro, like literally the meme of the most racist human alive having an ethnic girlfriend. Like, it's honestly kind of hysterical in like the second half of the movie, where he's like going full on into this shit of like, oh yeah, this chick's hot, I'm gonna use her, but also I'm gonna fuck her. Like, it's just ridiculous. You have, of course, with James, you have tons of unnecessary biblical references. Like, there was a point early on in the movie where the fire tribe attacks the air nomads when the family is going to drop Spider off at the camp. There's a scene where like Neytiri is stuck in vines, and you could tell it's like mimicking like Mary holding Jesus after he was taken off the cross. Like, it's like so painfully obvious. Then you have the scene, there's like a scene like much later on in the movie where it's like, Jake has to kill Spider so that the evil people don't get to him. And it's like, oh, get it? It's like Abraham. Like Abraham killing his son and then the angel stopping him. It's like, oh, God, guys, come on. Enough with the fucking biblical shit. Like, this is just ridiculous. And then you have, obviously, like, Chosen One, Christ imagery. Like, you think Kiri dies, but then she gets resurrected and she has angel wings on, even though that's the thing that makes her breathe. It's like, oh, look, it looks like she has an angel wing. She's resurrected. It's just like, oh, God, guys, come on. This is just ridiculous. Like, come on now. But yeah, for the most, it's just like the story is so very surface level. It's like, hey, did you know humans are bad? Hey, did you know colonization is bad? Hey, did you know that like family's important? Because remember, everything is, of course, about family. But you know, it's just, I don't know. It's just, but the thing is, I knew I wasn't gonna like this movie that much if I like paid attention to the writing and shit. So I just laid back and enjoyed myself. I did fall asleep at one point, mainly because those Dolby chairs are so comfortable and the heat was on, and I'm like, ooh, this is good. So I was very comfortable. But I will say, it's just like, if you want to like waste 3 hours and watch some pretty images, some decent, I will say the action sequences are pretty good. Those, I will admit, they were a lot of fun, especially like in the third act, where they essentially just redo the third act of, you know, Avatar Way of Water and just copy paste it onto this. It's like, it's literally the same one. It's literally the same like plot. It's like, hey, we need to get the golden liquid the whales give off, and then they're like, okay, we have to stop them, and they're just like, it's that, but again. For this, it's like, really, you could, it's a fun climax, not gonna lie. More people die, that was interesting, but like, it's just the copy paste. It's copy paste, that's all it is. So the composer is Simon Franklin this time around. Obviously not even close to the quality of James Horner, but I remember some musical beats that were pretty good throughout most of the movie, so there was that as well. But overall, I think it was a fun time. It was a fun time. Was it a great time? No, but I think it was fun. I mean, the acting for the most part's pretty good. The visual effects are amazing. The action sequences are really good. It has some originality, bits and pieces, maybe with Quaritch and like some bits here and there, like with Spider and the Fire Tribe and all that shit. That was good. Also, Edie Falco was in this. I forgot to mention that. So that's all fine. It's just like it suffers from the same things that the other movies suffer from. It's repetitive. It rips off other works. Hell, it even rips off previous James Cameron works by literally Sigourney Weaver's character saying, "Leave her alone, you bitch." It's like, oh my God, James, yes, thank you for reminding us we could be watching a better movie right now. Thanks for that. And also, one of the villain's death scenes is literally ripping off Jaws. So I'm like, oh, hey, that's another case of, hey, I could be watching a much better movie right now. Instead, I'm watching this shit. So thanks for that, James. So, yeah, it's 4 people died. That's it. Unfortunately, no child death. That was unfortunate. Not enough child murder. Yeah, it's just, you know, it's perfectly fine. It's a perfectly fine little series, and you know, it's fine. It's not gonna be amazing. It's not gonna be like depthful and all that shit, but it's fun. It's perfectly fun. And if you want to, like, you know, have a fun time at the movies, and if you want to have a fun time at the movies and waste 3 hours, then by all means. Yeah, apparently Avatar 5 is supposed to take place on Earth or something like that. But exactly, it doesn't have depth. It doesn't have good. It doesn't really have the great storytelling, but it's fun. It's entertaining. It's just like, the problem is, as Caleb said, it's kind of far up its own ass. James Cameron acts like it's profound when it's really not, and you know, yeah, that's kind of it. So with that, the Rotten Tomatoes score, it's at 67 right now. It keeps getting lower. Let me renew this, but the fucking audience score is at 91%. 91% of people really liked this. So now, for going by this, about 167 gave it fresh score, and then wow, even less for critics. For top critics, 28 gave it fresh, and it's more about a 54%. So in terms of the other movies, I know Way of Water had a really high one. Actually, let me look that up again. I'm actually curious about that. So we do that, and then that. So at the first Avatar, to give you a reminder, it's the tomato meter was very high, 81%, but the popcorn meter was about 82%, so much lower. However, for Way of Water, get out of here. It's you know, the highest of the series so far for the popcorn meter. It's at 92%, only one step above the current film, but the tomato meter was again very high at 76%. So the critics seem to have loved the first Avatar the most, and it seems like that the people love Way of Water the most, while this film kind of either remains the lowest or somewhere in between. You keep calling him James Gunn. It's James Cameron, Dan. Come on, bro. Jesus. Yes, that is true. It's kind of up its own ass, is the apparently quote of the year that Monique says. But yeah, this so that's my review of Avatar Fire and Ash. I thought it was good. It was a good movie. Is it a great movie? No, not really. Is it gonna like change cinema forever? Definitely not. But if you, again, as I keep saying, if you want to waste 3 hours and you want to be entertained, then by all means, well, it's either going to be Avatar 4 or Ghost of Hiroshima. One of the two. Pick your poison. I hope it's Ghost of Hiroshima, because I'm so sick of James Cameron directing Avatar movies. But I was entertained. I liked it, but exactly. That is essentially what it is. I thought it was good, but it's repetitive. Even though it's technically the most engaging and the most original, quote unquote, out of the three. Again, not saying much because a lot of this movie is very repetitive. If I had to give it a score, I'd give it like a 6.5 out of 10. That was pretty good. I'd give like the first one maybe like a 5, 5.5. I'd give the second one like maybe a 6. It's Avatar. It's fun to roast. They're fun to roast because it's like they exist in a vacuum. Like they're theatrical movies, and then nobody ever touches them again because for whatever reason. But Avatar 4 and 5, I will go see Avatar 4 because I did say that if Avatar 3 was an improvement on Avatar 2, which it was, I'd go see the next one. So with that, I will go see Avatar 4, whatever it's called. Yes, I agree, Enterprising. A lot more could have been done with the Ash people, the Fire Tribe, whatever the fuck you want to call them. But I think what we got from them was good. Like, it was fine. Again, it's just like the thing is, like, I remember I was talking with somebody like, oh, the fucking Fire Tribe, they're so one-dimensional. It's like, oh, so like literally everything fucking else in this franchise, like everything is one-dimensional. Everything's surface level. Everything is like, that's it. So, never Avatar. I'm excited for Ghost of Hiroshima. I'm glad it is an Avatar. I just hope James Cameron can, do other projects outside of Avatar. But yeah, Avatar Finest, like 6.5 out of 10. It's fine. It's perfectly serviceable. That's all. That's all she wrote. Here we are. But now we move on to bigger and better things. And while, what we do here in regards to, we're going from fire and ash to something that will remain hot and burning. That's hot take debate, guys. We're bringing back hot take debate. So we're going from fire to hot takes. Fire and ashing to hot takes. Let's go. So, Dan, I don't know if you want to hop back in here, but we are going to be talking about hot take. Dan, are you excited? Are you excited, Dan? Before I roll the intro, are you excited, Dan? I got to know if you're excited for this.
I am so excited.
Perfect. Let's go.
Who is that?
Retarded.
Retired. I'm already in the void. I'm not trying to get canceled again.
I don't like you.
And when you take on the responsibility, great power will come.
Chicks dig the car.
This is why Superman works alone.
Black rubber.
Ooh, you nasty, mon beauté rouge. Les éléments temps relais, hein?
Not a single word.
You bring your scarred psyche.
I'm about to make a name for myself here.
Pathetic psychopath.
Begging for attention. You were just leaving.
Oh, no,
Oh boy, that little intro. That's certainly an intro. There is no fire in the Matrix. Does he know? Does he know? Anyway. Yes, I think he knows. But let's get up in here. All right, hot take debate. It's been a couple weeks, I think, but or maybe a month. I don't know. I don't remember the last time we fucking did one of these. But yeah, we tried to find, guys, you gotta leave more because it's so funny. It's like you guys want like, oh, we want more hot takes, we want more hot takes. Well, fucking post them in the goddamn hot take post. We had to deal with like 7 of the same person because they just kept posting hot takes. Like, come on, guys. This ain't amateur hour. Anyway, look, it's Tarantino. So yeah. Okay. Just gonna stand there and watch me burn. Anyway,
I should include that in there. That should be like a future. That should totally be in there. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Caleb. But anyway, let's get into the hottest of takes. The first hot take is from M2G. I think M2G is in the chat right now. Maybe I think yeah. M2G's in the chat. So M2G, we got your hot take here. Hot take: Wakanda Forever is the best actual film in the MCU. It's not in my top 5 favorite MCU movies, and the tone is quite heavy. But if it were a standalone movie outside of the MCU and people weren't worried about who it represents, the future Black Panther and what comes next, even though they perfectly executed the reasoning for her to become Panther for revenge, more would see it as such. Amazing Oscar level score, writing, costume, direction again. Huge scale from MIT to Talakan and Angela Bassett at her best. I have not seen the movie, so I don't know. I can't judge on this. Dan, as someone who has seen the movie, what are your thoughts on this?
I gotta say I pretty much disagree with most of that because, and that's not even just that's not even just my opinion. Well, I'm not okay. I'm not gonna speak on behalf of other people. It's an actual film.
He is right about that.
Well,
it is indeed a film. I don't know if it's a good film or a bad film, but it's certainly a movie. It exists.
Well, Monique, the reason why I think this is a hot take, look, could it be a hotter take? Sure, but because clearly M2G, you love the movie, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine, and I love that you do love the movie. But for me, I thought this movie had a lot of missed opportunities. From you take it out of the this movie can't exist out of the context within which it was made, simply because of how much real life events affected the plot of the film, right? But let's say for the moment, if you take away the MCU context, a leader of a nation has died, and therefore now, there needs to be some succession. There's also the whole Black Panther aspect, because now he wasn't just the king, he was also like the protector of the country. Then this Talakan nation kind of comes into play. I think like the Riri Williams edition and having her become like the reason why these two nations go to war at a time when they need the succession plan. There were just a lot of decisions in this movie which just felt like they did a lot to kind of honor the memory of Chadwick Boseman, which is fine. But again, if your point is that this movie can stand by itself outside the MCU as a great film, I don't think it does. It's also, while I think the point of like this whole revolutionary versus colonizers, like I like the themes, I just think the execution of the movie was not the best. Like of all the, let's just be honest, or at least again, in my opinion, of all the movies Ryan Coogler has ever made, I think Wakanda Forever is his weakest work. And I also think that Angela Bassett's performance was overrated. I still don't understand how or why she was nominated for the best Oscar for the Oscar for the best supporting actress. It wasn't like that caliber. Did she win? I forget if she won or not. But if
no, she didn't. That was the thing a lot of people were pissed about. She didn't
I'm like,
win,
no.
And
If she
Jamie Lee
didn't,
Curtis. Jamie fucking Lee Curtis should not have won.
No,
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I'm not saying Jamie Lee Curtis was the right pick, but that's a different conversation. I certainly, and I wouldn't have minded if Angela Bassett won. I just didn't think she had. I personally did not think that performance was worthy of it. But then again, you know what?
Angela Bassett has been nominated way too many times and still has not won an Oscar.
No, that's fair.
Like this would have been like a perfect opportunity. Yeah, it was like it would be like Leo DiCaprio winning for The Revenant.
Exactly.
Not his best performance, but like they had to give him the Oscar at that point because he should have gotten it for Wolf of Wall Street, or should have gotten it for The Departed, which he wasn't even nominated.
Yeah, so, I mean, the dude literally ate like raw meat for the movie and almost died in the snow. Like he went about as method as he's ever had in his career.
Nobody gives a flying fuck about the other awards. Everyone cares about the Oscars. That's the thing.
She did. Yeah, she did win. Like I forget if it was the SAG or like she won a lot of the other ones like Golden Globes and stuff, but. But the point is, like, for as far as I can tell, like, from my opinion alone, Wakanda Forever is not as good as Black Panther, like the first movie. It's significantly inferior. I think the Riri Williams characterization also felt a little, like, smashed together, and I think M'Baku was underutilized to the point where there were parts of the movie where I'm like, there's questions being raised by the plot of this film that M'Baku is the blatant solution to, and yet he's not. And then also they made it's like all of a sudden Wakandans have Iron Man suits as well. Like by the end of the movie, it just again cheapens because you go back to like, you know, by Iron Man 2 they had the theme of like, you know, the world hasn't caught up. Oh, and by the way, yes, it's kind of catching up, but yet Tony still has the most advanced version of the suit. But now it seems like, you know, every other Marvel movie somebody gets some variation of an Iron Man suit. Not to mention, I think Riri Williams' character ultimately felt a little like out of place. I feel like I think the best part of the movie was the Talokan Empire and bringing in Namor. Like, I think bringing in Namor into the Talokans and giving them a bigger platform and pitting them more directly against Wakanda in a battle of philosophies about like one is now more open to the world, whereas the other one is not, and both used to be very secretive, and now there's a transition of leadership and new philosophies of how you lead in the world and how that clashes. It's also like the MCU continued it, or I think maybe even started its trend, but now it's kept on going with this, is the MCU, just because they need to make these Wakandans and Talokans and these other, like, you know, now in the future the X-Men and stuff look like they are the shit. They have to make the UN and the US government and everything else look dumb as fuck. And I'm like, let's be honest, that this is where I feel like the like James, not James, but like Zack Snyder in Man of Steel and Michael Bay in the Transformers movies, and this is just maybe my bias alone, but now I'm going off track too. But I'm like, when those movies, especially the first Transformers movie and the Man of Steel movie, how much the military is involved in everything is a far more accurate, you know, way of going about like how things would play. Even because even if you go like the MCU is designed to be like the world that's outside our window, the DCU clearly isn't. There's a distinction there. It's been there from the beginning for both universes, and that's been said by Kevin Feige and James Gunn. So I think from MCU's logic, it just that like, and you know, Captain America 4 continued on with that whole thing of like the president's on a carrier and yet there's like two mini dudes on wings flying around like trying to fight. Like, it's just, there's a lot of that. So I just think like Wakanda Forever botches a lot of promise and potential in many different ways, and it just, like, they almost killed off Angela Bassett's character in the first movie, so I'm like, I wasn't surprised she died in the second one. And some of the nuance also goes like just underwater, literally and figuratively. That's okay, Enterprising, if you think that was stupid. I just think that would be how things would play out, and realistically, like in terms of the logic, if that movie was trying to be grounded and the MCU is meant to be, you know, sort of grounded. So all that said, I just think Wakanda Forever is inferior to the first, you know, a Black Panther movie, which is a top 5 MCU, top 5 Marvel movie, the themes that it has, and the nuance with which it deals with it. Not to mention the Michael B. Jordan cameo in this Wakanda Forever only half made sense, if at all, and it just felt like there just was a reason for him to be there. Like, they were like, we need to put somebody here, so therefore it's gonna be him. And I mean, and then, you know, you keep on going from there. I'm like, not Riri, what's her face? Letitia Wright's character should not even be the next Black Panther. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, they lean into the idea that she's not really like a great fighter when she's fighting Namor later on, but like, there's when you end a fight by talking down the supposed bad guy in the fight, there's ways to do it. The way they did it in Civil War worked really well when Iron Man was the bad guy in that fight. The way they did it in Captain America 4 was slightly better, but still kind of hard to believe, because it's like, you know, Sam Wilson has only known the Red Hulk, you know, on a personal level for like what, weeks at that point. So to talk him out of his rage didn't make a ton of sense. But then like in this one, like how Namor like is meant to kind of back off, I don't know. Like, there's a lot that I can criticize about this movie, and clearly I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum with MTG, and that's all right. I will say, like I said, the attack on Wakanda was epic and tragic. There's a lot of good things in this movie. I just think overall, as a collective, whereas Avatar, Fire and Ash, and pretty much all the other Avatar movies do a great job of presenting very well executed movies that aren't necessarily revolutionary, but they're just a great time at the movies. Top Gun Maverick is an example. Barbie, like, they're not reinventing the wheel. I think Wakanda Forever had some really bold themes and ideas. It just didn't execute them well. Whereas I think the first Black Panther movie did, even if that third act scene where they're in the train tunnel, whatever that is, that was bad CGI, but that wasn't because like Ryan Coogler like made the wrong choices. It was just underbaked CGI that's been, staple of Marvel movies that are on fast track deadlines and are making late changes to the sequences. And sometimes those big action set pieces aren't even coming from the director of the particular movie. It's coming from the Marvel team that put the movie together, like the writer's room and like the greater hierarchy of power at Marvel. So all of that said, I just think Wakanda Forever is inferior to the Black Panther, and that's where we disagree. But yeah. Like, okay, so I get like the logic of it, but it's also like you could have gone in a very different direction if you wanted to, and like the impact of it was not there. Like in the first movie, like just for comparison's sake, MTG, in the first movie, T'Challa sees King T'Chaka, his own father, in that flashback or whatever, this higher plane of existence that they go to when they drink what's the thing what's the thing, like what's the special thing that the metal John sorry, anyway,
I have no idea what's going on.
But
I'm just
the point
waiting for
is,
the next
I know, but the point is, like Shuri had only a 5-minute interaction with the Michael B. Jordan character in the first movie. There is no, like, if you're having like a transformational emotional moment, like that would be the last person that would come to mind. Her own mother should have been there. Like there could have been many other characters that could have shown up in that moment. And Killmonger to be there, just like it only half made sense. But anyway, I could talk about this all day long. Clearly, we have stepped on something unexplored here. The third act was definitely rushed and the weakest part of the movie. MTG, I agree with you. The ancestral plane, yes, but like what's the Wakandans have like vibranium? That's what I was like, when you drink vibranium and you go into the ancestral plane. Thank you, MTG. But like you're meant to like be talk like somebody who's really important to you. Like it made sense that T'Chaka was showing up for T'Challa. And like Shuri knew what Killmonger for all of maybe a week, depending on how the timeline of the first movie played out. No, I'm not saying that she shouldn't be queen after her brother and mom died. I think there was always this idea like somebody could challenge for it and she didn't have to take this on, and she takes it on because she wants revenge. And the internal logic of the movie it's also flawed in the sense, because you got to remember, if you're talking about it in the context of the MCU, then certain decisions could be different than if you're talking about it as a standalone movie. I think if you're talking about it as a standalone movie, the revenge angle works a little bit better. In the context of the MCU, that version of Black Panther was the least intimidating part of any Avengers team possible. So anyway, I digress. John, let's keep on rolling.
Yeah, please, thank God. Okay, next up, hot take Game Freakness, who isn't even here, and they're always the one that's talking about hot take debate. So he says Dwayne Johnson isn't a good actor. He's sometimes 8 hours late to set. Google Red Notice, and you'll see he seems a little cocky, when he announces himself. His movies are good, but just don't like him much as a person. Yeah, he's kind of a dickhead, but I will say I don't think he's a great actor, but I don't think he's a terrible actor. He's just himself, and that's good. But he can work contrary to that. Like Smashing Machine is proof of that. I mean, he is on the short list for, Oscar Best Actor for that movie. So it shows that even they see something in him. Even if he doesn't get nominated, it shows that there is something there. And I don't think correlation of being a dickhead and your acting ability matters, because look at Kevin Spacey or like someone like that. It's like they're a horrible person, but they're a damn great actor. Or Roman Polanski in terms of directing, or Bryan Singer in terms of directing. Like you have like the worst scum of the earth in the movie making industry, but that isn't contrary to their abilities. So saying like, okay, first you're saying Dwayne Johnson is a good actor, but then you're talking about how he is as a person. Well, it's like that's two different things. You're talking about how he's not a good actor, but then you just talk about how he's an asshole. It's like, well, those two things don't really correlate. You could say, okay, he isn't a good actor. Well, why isn't he a good actor? Oh, because he's an asshole. Well, it's like that's not proving your point. You're not really giving us a lot to work with here. But in terms of the two things that aren't correlated, yeah, it's known he's an egotistical douchebag. that's been known for a while, and he's part of the reason why the Red One had like an astronomical budget because he kept running late on that show. I think that's what you were talking about instead of Red Notice, but I'm sure Red Notice he was also a dickhead there. But I think some of his movies are good, some of his movies are bad. But is he a good actor? I think he's okay. And he's not like the greatest he's not Daniel Day-Lewis, but I think he gets the job done. So I kind of agree, kind of disagree. I don't know. You're the wrestler guy, Dan. I don't know if you have anything to say about this.
Look, he's a better actor than he gets credit for, partly because of the roles that he has chosen to do over time. I will say though, like, yeah, the ego is a problem in Hollywood over time. But then again, when you are like the highest paid, most successful actor, by the way, hello Nelson. But when you are the highest paid, most successful actor in the world for like a long time, like I don't know, for like maybe for the better part of a decade, and somebody who's got an incredible work ethic, but at the same time, like people don't get to the top and be as successful as he is by just getting there by themselves. But at the same time, like this guy's like running like 24/7 almost. Like he's got a schedule, he's just going. And I think recently, like, look, this is a hot take that comes at a time when The Rock is sort of like changing track. As Dwayne Johnson, the man, is different today. You'll read or watch that actor on actor or actor with whatever the variety thing is called, where it's him and Brendan Fraser. It's just like when you're under the spotlight and you are literally you're like the biggest, if not one of the biggest actors in the world. Like it's you get criticism from every which direction. You're constantly exposed, and you feel that. And I think there's a lot there like to unpack in terms of just the psychological effect that might have, and how that might drive you to do certain things in terms of for your career, and how that might affect other people. I think he is genuinely a good person. It's just like Hollywood could chew you up and spit you out, and clearly that was, I think, the Black Adam era of The Rock, like that led to a lot of controversy, and like clearly like has humbled him, because you talk about what he's doing today, the kind of movies he's got on the horizon, what he did with the Smashing Machine, the way he talks about his career now, not taking on criticism as much, and just like not letting it affect him as much. He's not like a 300-pound muscled, roided out freak looking dude. Like, look back at The Rock from the peak of his prime in wrestling to the version that we were getting like 5-6 years ago when he was playing Black Adam, and like in the peak of his Fast and Furious movies, to what he is today. It's kind of like, I'm not saying like him and Batista are two very different people, but in terms of their physical profiles and the kind of roles that they're doing now, it's, yeah. And then you know what, you could be a good dude and still have an ego, that's sure, like, but like the amount of success he has had in his career, like every other person would take that, even if it came with the controversy that it has, because he is literally one of the most successful people in Hollywood and wrestling in anything that he has ever taken on. And sure, like, you know, he didn't change the DC hierarchy in the way that he wanted to, and I don't think like the DC reboot was entirely because of what he did. And in essence, there, if you look at it in a certain light, what he was trying to do was revive the DCEU in a way that sure was centered around him in a way, but it wasn't like he was saying every movie from there on is going to feature Black Adam. He just wanted to do something with Superman, and if they weren't going to reboot DC, honestly, of all the upcoming projects they had potentially lined up in the DCEU, a Black Adam versus Superman movie would have done better than pretty much the last 5 DCEU movies did. So, retro edits, thank you. Yeah, I'm not saying he doesn't have an ego. I just think he's not a bad person, and I think he's a better actor than a lot of people give him credit for. You go back and watch some of his really early movies, you watch The Smashing Machine, even if you watch some of his other movies from the peak of his prime, I think he's a good actor. He just was doing a lot of these like movies that are just, you go there for the paycheck, you know? And Red Notice, there's a million other reasons why that movie was absolute hot garbage. Not to mention, you know,
mainly Gal Gadot and Ryan Reynolds, but you know.
But and it was just all around terrible. So yeah. Anyway, and the way he announces himself is cocky. That's his character. He plays up the character of The Rock, always talking about him in third person. I will say though, it's very annoying how he always manages to sneak in the Teremana references. And like every other conversation you see him talking about just promoting his own tequila. I'm like, can we not like do like cheap pop like reference? Like, it's just, We don't need that. Like, I don't need to, like, because, like, for example, he was toasting to John Cena for his retirement, and then it randomly ends with, like, here's, like, he's toasting him with Terry, and he mentions it by name. I'm like, dude, turn off the salesman part of your brain for a minute, you know, and just live in the moment. It's
Damn,
that
it's a
part of
real
it.
shame about the
Yeah.
Queen. Go see Black Adam this October. You
Right,
know?
like he did that too. Remember, like it's that, like, that part of his brain needs to. I think, like, hopefully that will be less. We'll see less of that moving forward. But it's that constant marketing machine, because I know he's got the platform. Like, you don't need to monetize every moment of interaction you have with the public. Just be yourself. You know, like, that's all I'm saying. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to the next thing. Caleb, hey, pay attention, buddy. The first two acts of the Wolverine 2013 is better than the first two acts of Logan. Logan is already a great movie with those first two acts, but the Wolverine is insanely underrated and amazing. It's so close to being a masterpiece, but the final act of Wolverine is rough, while the final act and ending of Logan is some of the greatest pieces of cinema I have ever witnessed. Still prefer the Wolverine over Logan. That's entirely fair. It's pretty much like, a lot of people seem to forget how fucking goated the first two acts of the Wolverine really is. Those first two acts are genuinely on Logan levels, maybe better. I would have to watch both back to back, because it's been a long time since I've seen, like, Wolverine and Logan in, like, short proximity to one another. So I would like to do that, but, like, from what I remember of the Wolverine, like, the action sequences, the compelling drama, the characters, it just, like, everything from those first two acts was just absolutely fucking, like, peak. And then it turned into a generic comic book movie in that third act with the Silver Samurai, and it was just terrible. Not terrible, but it's just like, it's kind of, you know what, it's like Wonder Woman. It's like the first two acts of Wonder Woman, some of the greatest pieces of fucking comic book movie, like, we've ever gotten, and then that last generic act is just like, oh, it almost kills the movie. Like, I would say the Wolverine is like those first two acts, 9.5, maybe even a 10, but that last act brings it down to maybe an 8, maybe an 8.5 if I'm being nice. But, like, Wolverine, the first two acts are absolutely incredible. It's just that last act is not very good. Meanwhile, Logan, it follows through, because I think James Mangold put a gun to fucking, like, the Fox studio head at time. He's like, if you don't make me do the movie I want to do, I'm fucking blowing your goddamn fucking brains out. And you know what? They managed to finally stay the course. They delivered. It worked, only for it to be undone by Deadpool and Wolverine. Go fuck yourself, Ryan Reynolds. I will never forgive you for that. And part of the reason why I hate your sorry ass. But if we're talking about the Wolverine is definitely one of the most underrated comic book movies of all time, and on the level of Logan, if it wasn't for that last act of the Wolverine, because it's not bad, but it's not great. And but yeah, both films are goated, and yeah, it pretty much killed the movie. Like, because they either they didn't know how to end the movie, or they just were like, all right, we got to put a generic comic book ending onto this, and it just, like, nearly killed. Pretty much once he gets into that facility, it just, like, game over. Pretty much, like, the scene where they're, like, shooting him with the arrows, like, the lead up, he breaks free. Right then,
dude,
it should have gone in an entirely different direction.
I'm sorry, like, that up until that point, it was one of the best Marvel movies of all time.
Exactly.
And
then he gets into the facility, and it just shits.
Oh my god.
Is it the worst third act to any comic book movie of all time? No, but considering how fucking absolutely legendary those first two acts were, it makes it seem worse than it actually is.
It's like, I think the drop off is probably the worst of any movie in terms of the level of quality. You go from, like, probably an Oscar worthy Wolverine movie to, like, the most mediocre of, MCU level slop in the third act. I think over the years I've literally said that it felt like the third act of the movie, when we get into that whole, mechanized samurai bullshit, is like the Fox studio executives were like, we need a big fight sequence in the third act of
We
this
need a
movie,
big dumb
right?
gray villain.
Yeah,
As Nando
like
would say.
what
We
happened?
need a
Like,
big,
oh yes,
dumb gray villain.
like totally, like completely turned the motivations of
My
the old
brother
dude
in
upside
Christ,
down.
we are both slobbing the knob of
Yes.
Wolverine 2013. How much more do you
Oh.
need?
The figure drawing third.
Here's the thing: in a vacuum, the third act in a vacuum is fine. It's a fun little ending, but it's just like
But it's not for that movie. It doesn't belong.
It's like having like The Godfather in the first 2 acts, and then Godfather 3 in the last act. It's like, what happened to the quality here? What are we doing? What are we talking about? So it just seems like in a vacuum, Godfather 3, not the worst thing ever, but like not good in comparison to like, first act is Godfather, second act is Godfather Part 2, and then the third act is Godfather 3. So it's just like clearly, and then it shits the bed. So it's just
and I am really glad that, like, what was the name of the director again?
It also teased the costume. I know
it did. That's right. That's where that shot comes from. But I am really glad that and why am I blanking on the director right now? James Mangold. I am really glad that James Mangold got Kate Blanchett with the budget and the creative for Logan. Now Logan and the Wolverine,
and then he went to Disney and became a fucking corporate shill, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, but he's also now got a deal with Paramount where he's got like an overall deal. So anyway, but, I don't know if you're ever gonna see a Swamp Thing directed by him, but the point is, James
I meant like I didn't mean like the third act in terms of Godfather. I just meant like the quality.
Like the quality, like in general.
That's what I meant.
I look, here's the thing. The Wolverine and Logan are two very different movies in terms of even the subgenre that they try to tackle. Like, one is clearly a Western. I mean, I don't know what the Wolverine would be looked at. It's sort of got some Western themes to it. Certainly very different from, X-Men Origins Wolverine.
It's Kurosawa-esque in a way. Like, I mean, that's what many Westerns borrowed from. I mean, it's ironic because Kurosawa borrowed from a lot of John Ford movies, and then so he did those for his films. And then ironically, his movies inspired more Westerns. So, it like kind of was like this ongoing cycle. That's understandable. Logan, because Logan is a complete movie. The Wolverine is technically incomplete. You could like stop the movie after he pulls away from like the arrow attack, and you're like, that was one of the greatest fucking Marvel movies of all time. And that who knows what happens? Oh, he goes off to defeat them, and that's like, oh, that's all you need. Just stop the movie there. And then just tell someone he defeats them. That's it. Okay, cool. And then you think it's the greatest thing ever. Boom. There you go. Perfect.
That they just need to fix that third fight sequence. I like
Tilly's 90. Just get Hugh Jackman to like redo that entire sequence.
I'm like, like if Warner Brothers could give 70 million to Zack Snyder to like finish his
even though
cut
it's
of
been
Justice
12
League,
years, fuck it, Hugh Jackman, get back here. He hasn't aged that much. It's fine.
Dude, and out of all the studios in Hollywood, Disney's got like the best de-aging tech. So I'm like, yeah, you know what? Just do it. Just 70 million. If they did it for the Snyder cut,
the de-aging tech of
I'm just saying. Because like it's anyway. Well, we're also ready for a new Wolverine, and we'll be talking about that hopefully later in Fancast Friday. But
maybe who knows? But yes, release. I will say, release the Mangold cut 100%. Yes.
Yep.
But next up, we have Dan's hot take. If Supergirl, Clayface, Lanterns, and Man of Tomorrow all underperform, it'll give new Netflix owners of DC good reason to fire James Gunn and Peter Safran and bring in new creative voices for you. Yeah. Oh my God, things fail. Of course, the guys in charge will be fired. I don't know how much of a hot take that is.
No. Okay. So
this is yourself, sir.
Okay. So on the surface, this doesn't feel like something that's meant to inflame and like, like, oh my God, hot take. No, because it is a little obvious, but it's not, is it though? Because when you consider, okay, so let me lay the groundwork here because I didn't want to type out like 2 paragraphs. James Gunn and Peter Safran's contracts run out spring of 2027. That's right around. That's actually before Man of Tomorrow comes out, technically, right?
Yes.
So So Man of Tomorrow would not have come out yet, but Netflix, by that time, the new owners of Warner Brothers would know, and DC, of course, like how good of a movie it is or it is not. They would know what they have. They would have also gotten the final numbers for Clayface and Supergirl's not only theatrical runs, but also what it does on streaming. And by that time, you know, the merger would just about have closed, if not just, you know, in the final stages of closing. So, you know, depending on if the merger has closed or not, whatever the decision is for the new contracts for Peter Safran and James Gunn, it's going to be influenced by Netflix's owner, like the CEOs and their ownership, because it's not likely, well, thank you, Figure Drawing. It's not likely that David Zaslav is to stick around post-merger, and even if he is, like, I don't think he will have the same level of say as he does today. Like, James Gunn and Peter Safran are David Zaslav's guys. Like, he's picked them, he's given them the, you know, the total freedom to do whatever the hell they need to do and want to do. I just don't see that level of leeway being given to James Gunn and Peter Safran. And here's the thing. Let me now make a case to, like, Eric's point. Lanterns, so far, I think has made more marketing missteps than it's gotten things right. Clayface, we have very little idea about. It's a risky project. It's the riskiest of everything they've done so far. We're going to talk about Clayface a little bit later, but, like, Clayface could fail, like, horribly, and it wouldn't be such a bad move, because, like, financially, they're not as invested in it as they are in a Supergirl movie. But, like, it would still be, like, a miss, and a miss is, like, it could add to a streak by that time, because by the time Clayface comes out, if Lantern has been a miss and Supergirl underperformed, then that would be 3 in a row. Like, the whole year would be a wash. And then the next big thing would be Man of Tomorrow and the Batman 2. Now, the reason I didn't include the Batman Part 2 in here is because the Batman existed before James Gunn and Peter Safran were, you know, working at DC Studios, and the Batman Part 2 could be, you know, mediocre or just, like, because Batman has a lower threshold in terms, like, people will go see a mediocre Batman movie and it will make more money than a really good Supergirl movie. You know, a good Batman movie is going to make more money than the Man of Tomorrow part that will make. Like, I can guarantee you, if the Batman Part 2 is not as good as the Batman, and is, you know, it's slightly better than mediocre, somewhat good, it will still make more money than a really good Man of Tomorrow, because it's Batman. As Batman, DC is the house Batman built. DC stands for Detective Comics, not Action Comics. We're not talking about AC Studios, it's DC Studios. And therefore, the Batman Part 2 will continue, that franchise will exist and continue on, even if DC Studios is no longer led by James and Peter Safran, even if DC Studios doesn't exist. So the point I'm making is, 2026 is more pivotal to the future of DC under Netflix than a lot of people might give it credit for right now, simply because they've been given guarantees that James Gunn and Peter Safran will stick around. Their contracts come up for renewal. That's an easy out. And James Gunn is the vision. Like, he's the man who set the vision. They could easily just scrap and move on at that point. It could be a clean break, and Man of Tomorrow, for the most part, would be the capper in this trilogy of the Superman saga that James Gunn has been talking about anyway. And since Brainiac is probably a part of that movie, and he's almost confirmed it at this point, between the story being told from Superman into Supergirl into Man of Tomorrow, that would also, from a narrative standpoint, could be like, you know how we got the Zack Snyder's trilogy, go watch it on HBO Max? I'm saying the worst case scenario could be, go watch the James Gunn DC, like, Superman trilogy on Netflix in a few years' time. Now, this is me, of course, you know, playing up a narrative of, like, if things completely go to shit, the chances are that's not going to happen. But that's why I put this hot take out there. I don't know, John. What do you say to that?
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like, yeah, like, they do terribly, guys get fired. I don't know. I feel like that's a pretty easy thing to talk about.
Anyway, it's hot take debate, so, you know, like to set a few things ablaze.
Anyway, but we have one more hot take. That's from Macaulay Culkin himself. This was from we'll pull up the article in a second, but Macaulay Culkin said, "Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?" No, it's not. Don't fight me. I will fight you, Macaulay. It's based around Christmas, but if we're also on St. Patrick's Day, it would still work. No, it won't. But you couldn't do Home Alone on Memorial Day. You could. It doesn't work that way. I'm the godfather of Christmas nowadays. My opinion has some sway in this argument. No, you don't. Anyway, so famously, Macaulay Culkin, a couple days ago, I think he was on Last Meals. It was the Mythical Kitchen. It was with Josh, and they were doing an interview, and Macaulay Culkin was like, "Yeah, this is Die Hard is not a Christmas movie," and it's just like, why is this still like a topic of conversation? I thought this was pretty much dead at this point. Like everyone knows Die Hard's a Christmas movie, or at the very least, it's a Christmas action movie. Like it's as a Christmas movie as Black Christmas is a Christmas movie. Like, you know,
I'll be honest with you. I kind of like agree with Macaulay Culkin. Like Die Hard is about as much of a Christmas movie as Iron Man 3.
But it's still, like you could 100% have Home Alone take place in the summer, and you'd get the same fucking movie.
Okay,
You'd get
but
the
here's
same exact
okay,
movie.
I see. No, you wouldn't get the same exact movie. You would get a very different movie because the dude would not be wearing mittens and like 3 jackets and running around in the snow.
Like, we're not talking
I get
about
it, but like the principle of it. Okay,
and the
yeah,
set decoration.
sure.
Well, by that logic, then Die Hard is a Christmas movie because you have Alan Rickman's character saying, "Now I have a machine gun, ho ho ho." Like that's. Like if it took place on St. Patrick's Day, that doesn't make sense because that is a Christmas analogy right there. Like,
well, I mean,
no
I guess it depends.
Like,
it depends on what he thinks of the
Well, by that logic, Die Hard then can't take place anywhere else other than Christmas. So
I don't know. Like I think it's the like I agree with what Eric says. It's a movie that takes place during Christmas because it's the thing is like Home Alone is firmly like aimed at being. It's a movie that is ingrained with Christmas themes. The kid walks by a recreation of like the birth of Jesus Christ and like all that shit.
Yeah.
He sits in a church.
Easter.
I'm like, okay, but like not exactly the same thing, dude. Like Christmas and Easter are celebrated 2 different parts
but
of
you're
Christian mythology.
Into it.
It's
Catholicism
I'm
has
just
other
saying.
attributed holidays other than Christmas. And even then, Jesus' birth took place in the fucking summer anyway, and Christmas is a farce.
Yeah,
so
well, you know
whatever.
what? Well, you know what? In that case, that none of this matters, because like, yes, you are right about that. So like, if you're gonna take it that far, then you know it's all.
Honestly, yes,
just smash.
Yes.
Come on.
Remake Home Alone as a Halloween movie. I'm here for it. Let's go. The thing is, they have made Home Alone-esque movies that don't take place at Christmas, and guess what? They work. It's it's like a whole thing.
I'm sure they've mentioned Santa Claus in many other movies. Does that make every movie that mentions Santa Claus as a Christmas movie? No. But anyway, this is good fun. Like I like look. Here's the thing. Fiona thinks that Die Hard is easily a Christmas movie, and I think like I kind of like vary depending on who I'm talking to. I'm like, sure, it's not something I'm not gonna die on that hill. But if you really wanted my pure opinion, I don't think Die Hard is a Christmas movie per se. And maybe it's because I never saw it in theaters. So I don't have the same connection to it. And I think for me, Home Alone is just simply like it's more essential viewing to me.
Because
if you ask for me, like,
and this all derives back from childhood. We all saw Home Alone as a kid. And we think of it as like, because I have a friend of mine, he never watched Home Alone as a kid, and he watched it much later. He's also across the pond, and he's like, I see nothing special about this movie. It's pretty much 2 acts of this kid lounging around a house, and then the 3rd act, which is the good part, which is when the burglars attack. Like I can kind of see that.
That's
like,
not true. They come over a few different times.
Do it from like an unbiased point of view, and I feel like that's interesting. How like he's like, I have no sentimental value to this movie, and without that sentimental value, this movie means very little to me because I don't see it as that great of a movie. When the 3rd act is the only part that's interesting.
No, dude, I think that's an oversimplification. Home Alone is an entertaining movie throughout. Like, it's not like the dudes just show up in the 3rd act. Like they are there. They're there like multiple times. And like the whole reason why the family's away is for a Christmas vacation. Like, it's
People take vacations all times throughout the year.
Yeah, but like Christmas, okay, but like it's not the same. It's not the same. The whole point of the show, they go to what is it, Miami in the first one? Where are they going? In order to Paris?
They're going to France in the first one, and then Florida in the second one.
And they go to France, and it's not even snowing there or something. It's like the whole thing, like it's just that wouldn't work the same, right? It's like it's not just simply like put on different. Clothes
I am
or
aware of that.
Change the temperature.
I am
outside.
aware of that. I'm just saying it's an interesting way how he views the movie. I'm not saying I agree with him. I'm just saying I do agree on the basis of like I don't think Home Alone needs to be like be all end all and like if you change the movie then it changes. Like that's crazy. But like I'm just saying like it's an interesting way to view that even if I don't necessarily agree with it. But I don't know because I've been watching Home Alone since I was a kid, so I don't know if I'm very biased in saying that, but I just felt that was interesting.
I don't know if I agree with you, Monique. I think it's a very well executed movie overall. But then again, it's all opinions. I will say this though, like, okay, good point from Anthony, and I think also somebody else had a good point here. Like, Polar Express is firmly a Christmas movie.
Yeah,
that is nothing but a Christmas movie. So I think like it's like how do you define
that is a movie
like
where that
a Christmas movie
cannot be anything other than
anything, right?
I'm
like maybe it's like if you look at it on a spectrum of like Christmas, how Christmassy is like what makes a Christmas movie, and it's a spectrum.
I think it's a spectrum. Someone actually also had a very good discussion in regards to this, and they're like, okay, here's how to please everybody. They're like, okay, if you don't want to say that Die Hard is a Christmas movie because, there is certain themes and tropes and cliches and ideas on what people consider a Christmas movie. Just say it's a Christmas action movie. Just like Violent Night. Violent Night is a Christmas action movie. You're still calling it a Christmas movie. Doesn't have a
Santa Claus in it?
For the people that don't consider it a Christmas movie, well, okay, it's kind of like how, Black Christmas and Silent Night, Deadly Night, Christmas Evil, those are Christmas horror movies. We don't technically call those Christmas movies because they're so far removed from the idea of what we consider Christmas movies that, we call them Christmas horror movies. So if people can be okay with it, then call it a Christmas action movie. Then you make everybody happy. Kind of like the whole like Happy Holidays. That was intended to be, even though it makes all the fucking assholes. Oh, I want to say Merry Christmas. Well, happy, shut the fuck up then. Okay. How about that?
I mean, I think it's again because it all comes back to a more philosophical argument of like what makes a Christmas movie, and I think it all depends. What makes a movie a Christmas movie depends on how you define Christmas for yourself and your family. And I think Christmas, that goes back to like whether you are like celebrating it religiously, if it's just a commercial holiday, or if it's just a time of the year where it's like you just have like, it's the one time of the year, or maybe the second, depending on where you live. It's one of the few times of the year, and your traditions,
like
your family gets
Joey
together.
Noel is a Christmas movie, but like you don't really imagine that as a Christmas movie because it's a war movie. So like it's like how do you?
So I think it's about themes, it's about traditions, it's about like how you relate to it. Sometimes in some families, like a movie that is clearly not a Christmas movie is a Christmas movie for them because that's what they grew up watching together around Christmas time. So I think it's like it's a very loose definition, but I think if you look at it as like, if you do compare it one for one, if between Home Alone and Die Hard, which is more of a Christmas movie, I would say Home Alone is more of a Christmas movie than Die Hard is. They both take place around Christmas, and one is just more centered on the holiday themes than the other one is, but they are both, I mean, and it's also the marketing for the movie itself too, right? It's like the Christmas, the Miracle on 34th Street. The Christmas Story, the Christmas Carol, like we're gonna get another Johnny Depp Ebenezer Scrooge like movie. Those are like firmly Christmas movies because it's more about Christmas traditions and stuff. So yeah, but it's a spectrum. Like there could be exactly like what Caleb is saying. There are subgenres. There's Christmas horror, action, comedy, like the Christmas family movie. Like there you go, world peace. Thank you, Caleb. And on that note, I think we have figured this out.
And also, go fuck yourself, Macaulay. You're not the goddamn godfather of Christmas. Get out of here.
I think he was being he was being facetious, but yeah, there we go. This is great fun. I'm so glad we brought hot take debate back. You guys need to give us more hot takes so we can get all riled up. I remember, Liz, you and I got into a real fight of an argument the last time we did this, or was it 2 times ago? it was kind of it was yeah, like, and I had people sitting around me, and I wasn't like by myself, and they were
Terrifier
like,
3. You think of
"Are you guys having a
Terrifier 3
real
is a Christmas
argument?"
movie. Yeah.
So I know. Well, that's the thing. Like, the Iron Man 3 is barely a Christmas movie, but like it's technically like, anyway. It doesn't even come out in Christmas time. It's like a summer anyway. Whatever. We digress.
It's a Wonderful Life didn't
Yeah.
technically come out at around Christmas time either.
True. My name is Trevor Slattery.
But,
that's
but
Liverpool.
Speaking of Trevor Slattery and Iron Man 3, welcome to MCU Weekly, guy.
By the way, before the hot take post, we post for the hot take, like we ask for it in the community post section, so you can go and drop it there. It's like where the polls are for Tier List Tuesday and Fancast Friday figure drawing. So if you post your hot take there, we'll bring it into the show. So we'll probably do another one next week. So, yeah, we'll Batman Returns is marvelous. All right, let's move on.
Anyway, so now we get into a bit of MCU Weekly here. New report reveals how Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer was shared online as a wild plot leak goes viral. So, as we know, Brand New Day trailer got leaked. The quality was appalling, and not everyone was convinced that it was the real deal, especially, with the AI fakes. Hollywood Reporter has now shared a piece on the leaks, providing some insights into how the footage found its way online, weeks, if not months sooner than Marvel and Sony would have liked. The trade explains that it escaped from a service studios use to get early feedback on trailers from average moviegoers who signed NDAs in exchange for looking at stuff early. The Brand New Day trailer is played on a computer screen that could be logged into such a site. Despite rumors that the Brand New Day trailer would play with Anaconda on Christmas Day, Sony hasn't rushed to officially release the preview. Now would be a good time to drop the teaser, but we're sure Marvel Studios doesn't want its, Avengers Doomsday sneak peeks overshadowed by the web slinger, even though we all know fucking Spider-Man is going to make way more money. And it's probably going to be a fucking actually good movie, unlike Avengers Doomsday, but that's beside the point. So there's also a lot of Brand New Day plot leaks in regards to, Spider-Man transforming into Man Spider, and now he has organic webbing and all that shit. So what are your thoughts on all of this?
Well, here's the thing. You do sign an NDA, so whoever did this, by the way, this also, the one thing this explains is that these videos are really low resolution, like 360p, 540p, terrible ass looking shit. Because I'm like, everybody has an iPhone or Android phone that can film video in really good quality. The reason why it was shot in such a shitty way is because usually these things are watermarked. And if you actually get a high resolution version of it, like, they will be able to track that watermark back to the person.
Oh, by the way, I
specifically
did get the
leaked it.
Avengers Doomsday Steve Rogers trailer before my Avatar screening. I did forget to mention that, but yes,
well,
I
we'll
did
talk
get
about
it.
that in a minute.
I saw it.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that soon. So yes, I did get
but
that.
But as I was saying, like, the reason why these leaks have been like low res is because someone could, like, I don't know, they might still be able to track it down, but like that watermark would be easier to verify and be able to read if it was like a high res version of it. And usually it's either something in the image itself that's like encoded in the image, or there's usually some kind of text designator or something there that tells you exactly which version they can track that back. So whoever did this, like, I mean, so that explains the terrible quality leak. But it also goes to show you that that's not, for movies this big, maybe they should not be using this kind of a system. But here's the thing. This movie is a Sony movie, technically, even though it's Marvel Studios making it. The marketing and all of that testing stuff, like, that they talked about, like this whole, because this is part of the marketing that really let the trailer leak. If this was Marvel Studios themselves doing this, their methodology is to not try to use these kind of services to get feedback and stuff, and so this wouldn't have happened. Whereas because Sony distributes the movies, they're the ones in charge of the marketing. They clearly like have a different approach than Kevin Feige at Marvel Studios, and therefore that leads you to this. So maybe Sony will not change their tact. But anyway, but I guess it does verify the fact that this was a real trailer, and it makes total sense that they wouldn't want to step on their own stuff, like, while you have all these Doomsday trailers coming out, that they would also put, because like you don't want to compete with yourself. Like, I think the idea would be that they were suggesting in this report that the Spider-Man trailer probably wasn't meant to drop until around Super Bowl time, so like February maybe. or at the earliest, like mid January. It wasn't meant to play in front of it wasn't meant to play like in front of Avatar, at least not right now. The earliest you might see it is like, well, Anaconda's coming out this week too, so I don't think it was meant to be a part of that either. So anyway, but Anaconda is a Sony movie, that's the reason why it would potentially play in front of that.
Yes.
But clearly, like, it's not like a Universal made the Odyssey and they're putting it in front of Avatar, because it's not about like if it's your studio's movie, it's more about which movie will have more butts and seats. So, like if Sony was gonna put it out there, they would more likely put it in front of Avatar than they would have put it in front of Anaconda. So yeah, anywho.
Yes.
Not surprised. And I hope that person gets in trouble, because I'm like, at this point, like, every trailer is getting leaked before it actually comes out. Like, come on.
Yeah. But of course, speaking of Avengers Doomsday, the trailer, there's a video that shows fans screaming and cheering while watching first teaser in theaters. As we all know, the Steve Rogers teaser that got leaked, that is 100% true, that is being shown in theaters right now in front of Avatar Fire and Ash. So, apparently the shills that will eat up everything and anything are cheering for this. So cool.
Well, this was like from a screening in India. I think I forget, I couldn't tell which part of India, but like the fans in India like are even more wild. Like if you again, this different
I'm
parts
not
of the
gonna
world,
play
like
it, but
yeah,
because
the level of appreciation for this stuff like is different. Like how you experience things. Like I if you guys travel to other parts of the world, whether it's Europe, Asia, anywhere you go, try going to a movie theater locally for one of these big event movies and see how different the experience is than where you live, because it just that will help you kind of understand why some movies do really well in certain parts of the world, or like they do well internationally but not in the US. And this is an example of that. Like you go to like people are like going wild because people are angry, rightfully so, that kids were throwing popcorn and shit like in Minecraft for Chicken Jockey. But like that level of enthusiasm, not to the point where you're throwing popcorn, but like people are cheering on and like standing up, and like especially the end game moment with like on your left, the way you experience it in different parts of the world, like you look at the videos now, the reactions are on YouTube, have been for years. It goes to show you like, how excited some people get for this in other parts of the world, where as opposed to where you might be. But that being said, I feel like the reaction here was a little over the top. Like we don't need to be whistling at the fact that Steve Rogers is back. I think it's also the reaction may not be the same everywhere, because a lot of people might be aware that this, or like, it's got leaked. Like if this was literally just the first time people learned, like, oh my god, Steve Rogers is back, then that would, and it's not even that it got leaked, because like usually it would be just the hardcore fans. Because like not a lot of us, like all of us here watching and on the show and talking about this stuff are a very small minority of the general movie going audience. But this leak went viral. Like it's been on TikTok, it's been on social media. So like a lot of like people who would consider themselves average movie going fans, who are just not, they're not following every little bit of the MCU. Even they knew that Steve Rogers was basically coming back, that Chris Evans was going to be there. So I just think this video was a little over the top, but maybe by the time we get to the Doctor Doom one, which even if we know it's going to be there, like if it doesn't get leaked before it plays in theaters, that will be, that'll be more fun. Anyway, I think there's also something to be said for the fact that nowadays social media makes releasing these things like in different time zones very difficult, because somebody's gonna like record something in like India and like have it online before like it plays at the first screening in the US, for example. So it's like it's for a lot of us is gonna get spoiled through a low quality online like camera shot like version. Then so this is where I think releasing trailers online first makes more sense these days, because doing it theatrically this way just leads to a lot of people getting spoiled before they even get to see the real thing. So anyway,
yeah. Anyway, but that's it for the MCU Weekly side of things. But then we get into one more thing, and that's Movie Talk Madness. So let's get into the Movie Talk, the madnesses of all the things. So let's get into that. First thing we got, Bond, James Bond. Apparently, the films will be available to stream on Netflix, in addition to Amazon as some part of new deal. Very surprising. And Dan, why is that?
Well, if you scroll down, it's not every Bond movie. There's like a specific list of them. The reason why this is surprising is because you would imagine that, Amazon Prime, the second biggest streaming service in the world behind Netflix, they're competitors. So why put your biggest franchise on your biggest competitor's platform? The reason why, though, I mean, I think you could look at it as a win for the, traditional distribution in Hollywood, where, like, for example, HBO started licensing some of their stuff, like Band of Brothers and stuff, to, like, Netflix a few years ago. And even then, you wouldn't think, like, oh, James Bond movies on Netflix. But it makes sense because to Amazon, this is... It's the amount of money they will make from the licensing deal is more than the amount of money they would have made by keeping it exclusive to just their own platforms, which would be Amazon Prime Video and MGM Plus, that used to be Epic. So it makes sense. But also, like, you look at the movies, Die Another Day, No Time to Die, Quantum of Solace, and Skyfall. While that does include some of the bigger ones, I mean, Skyfall is the highest grossing Bond movie of all time. Quantum of Solace is probably the least good Craig movie. No Time to Die is the latest Bond movie, and Die Another Day was Pierce Brosnan, right? Was that one? That was one of his movies. So they're not doing every single Bond movie, but they are doing other. So this is not just for the Bond movies. Also, Rocky, Creed, Legally Blonde, and then also like the Man in the High Castle, John, an Amazon Prime Video original series is now going to be on Netflix. So that's also like significant because you wouldn't imagine something like this would happen.
What hustle does fucking Netflix have at this point? Buying WB, fucking hawking shit from Bezos. Like, what else do they have up their sleeves? Goddamn.
Well, I think this is it's about money. Like Monique said it, like enterprising. It's about money because ultimately money talks and bullshit walks. And literally for Amazon, I mean, despite the fact that Amazon Prime Video has the second, biggest subscriber base in the world and probably as much market penetration as Netflix does, Netflix still has a much bigger audience, and they're probably just paid up for it. And Netflix was like, Amazon was like, yeah, why not? Not to mention, this isn't going to be a year-round thing. This is windowed in the sense that between October and December, Amazon still features a lot of the Bond projects because they even have like a reality show that who hosts it? The guy from Succession. Brian Cox hosts this. Brian Cox hosts this like James Bond reality show that's on Netflix. Not to mention the documentaries and everything, because Bond Day happens, I think, between October and December, and then MGM Plus has a collection of Bond movies that will always be there because it's an MGM franchise. But outside of that window, Netflix will carry them, and it's not every Bond movie, and it's a bunch of other movies too, like Rocky franchise, which includes Creed and everything else. So it's a business move. It's surprising on the surface. I think it's a win-win for distribution, and this also is another argument in favor of Netflix getting through regulatory hurdles, because they're like, look, we're working with the industry, like we're not just trying to destroy like everybody. So I think as far as like the Warner Brothers deal goes, this is actually a positive in favor of that. So yeah, anyway, Monique's saying this is like the streaming version of the old TBS Bond marathons. Yeah, exactly, there you go. Oh, yeah, Liz will be back with us soon. Like, there's a lot. Liz has been busy. Like, she got surgery, and it's the holiday season, so we'll see if we can get her back on. And Bridget will hopefully have back on next year. So, thanks for asking, though, Stephen. Netflix insists upon itself. Yeah, I guess.
But speaking of insisting upon itself, terrible segue because that doesn't mean anything. But Paul King currently to direct a Labubu movie for Sony. Sony's actually getting a one-up while the craze is hot on like Angry Birds, which was like 16 years after it was popular. But
but is it though? I feel like Labubus aren't as popular as they used to be. Just like
they're still more popular than when they made an Angry Birds movie in like 2019.
True.
So.
But I'm like, this movie doesn't come out for probably another year or two, John. Like, do you think it's gonna matter much? Like, are people gonna remember Labubus? I mean, here's the thing though. Paul King is the man who directed the latest Wonka movie, which but I didn't like it as much, but a lot of people did. The Timothy
But he
Chalamet
also
version.
directed, the Paddington
Paddington and
movies, so,
Paddington
like,
2. He directed 2 of the 3 and produced the third one. So the dude knows how to do something, and even for like
he
his
apparently was in consideration to direct a Bond movie, though.
he
Speaking of
was.
Bond, so
I, okay, I think a Paul King Labubu movie could revive the Labubu craze, if anything. And it was for a thing that was a fad that has already faded. Yeah, I don't know. Like we'll see. I look. Here's the thing. I think the floor for this is the Emoji Movie, and the ceiling is the Lego Movie. And with Paul King, it's likely closer to gonna be the ceiling than it's gonna be to the floor. So good for Sony. I mean, they're certainly moving fast, but are they moving fast enough to keep up with the fad? That's the question. So
yeah,
see.
I don't know. Probably not. But here we are. But the biggest news, one of the bigger pieces of news, is a new Warner Bros. Contemporary film label being launched by Neon execs Christian Parks, Jason Wald, and Spencer Calantes. So
this is basically Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdi were working on this even before the sale process started. And these guys left Neon recently. People were like, "Oh my God, these guys are really good at what they do. Like, where are they going? What's going on?" And now we know. And so this is gonna be like a prestige label, not prestige so much. It's more. If you go to the next link, it's sort of a TLDR of what this is gonna be. They're gonna be producing 2 to 3 movies a year that will all be relatively low, like moderately budgeted. And the idea would be that they would be using a lot of viral marketing and like new, very targeted marketing methods to bring this to Gen Zers and like a younger audience, and really target a younger audience with like zeitgeist like movies. Basically, they want movies that go viral, kind of like what they did with Smile, like a movie that didn't take them a lot of money to make. It doesn't need to be horror like this. It could be genre agnostic. Like they won't just make like a particular genre of movies, but it's gonna add to like the roughly 13, 14 movies a year that Warner Brothers has said they're gonna be making, of which they said there will be a couple of animated ones. There'll be a 2 to 3 like big franchise tentpoles. There'll be 2 to 3 DC movies, and then now there'll be 2 to 3 of these. So it's kind of like if you imagine Warner Brothers is like making a Neon of their own. And so not so much Searchlight specific, because this isn't your traditional prestige label. The idea would be they want to make movies targeted at a younger audiences because they want to bring them out to theaters a lot more, and then hopefully that way they're building up, a love of the movies from younger people as they grow up. And then, it's the whole thing about like the idea is that this will hopefully, you get them early, you catch them early, like, and you bring more people out to the theaters. You do it in a more targeted way. It's kind of like we talk about a lot of Netflix. Like John, you and I both, everybody knows there's so much shit on Netflix. Most of us don't even know that like it exists.
Right.
But they still have huge audiences. Why? Because Netflix like markets everything to a very like they do a really great job of doing targeted marketing. So only the people they know will be interested get to see the marketing for it, and that's why it still ends up doing well. But hello, Morkatna. And I think the idea here is they want to do something similar for theatrical fare. So like I think Smile is a great example. Like the marketing for that was very much targeted at the audiences that they wanted to get to. And Warner Brothers already has been doing great marketing with Barbie, with F1. So yeah, HBO is a different thing entirely. So this would be good. This would be good. I don't know, John. Do you think this could lead this is the right approach? Because again, the budgets will be smaller, so
Right.
lower bar to clear. Like, what do you think?
I think this is good. I think this is definitely would bring back some of the idea. It's just like, obviously we'll see where it goes, but like, don't make it so that it just movies are for big tentpoles. And I think smaller movies, because like, especially if they're horror, people usually go to see horror movies. It's just like that's the joke at this point, where it's like comic book movies and horror movies are the only things that like make money at the box office anymore. So, obviously we'll see, but I think this is personally, as of right now, if in a vacuum, I think it's a good idea. They've been like, get people to see movies, have them cost like $10 million. You get that shit back in a weekend and you actually make some profit off it. And then if it does really well, then boom, you make a super mega profit. But that's like probably the exception, not the rule. But I think this is a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, as long as like they don't then do like M3 Gun 2.0, that would be the wrong. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I think this is actually very innovative, and this is the kind of forward thinking approach to movie making at the theatrical level that I hope Netflix will champion with Warner Brothers rather than kill off. And because like Warner Brothers is doing something here that a lot of other, like, I don't know if any other studio is doing this. So this is good. This is good to see, because this is another way to bring more people, and especially younger people, back to the movie theaters. So yeah, yep, good stuff.
Anyway, but not the only major thing we talk about. Sean Levy celebrates Star Wars Starfighter, wrapping its shoot with behind the scenes look. So the Star Wars movie that's going to be made for theaters, that's actually going to make money, unlike Mandalorian and Grogu, finally has,
there he is,
wrapped, and it looks like we have a bit of a 2001 homage, possibly. So
a little bit, although I don't think he's quite running on the wall. It's sort of like maybe he got him, like. But this is great. It's like they finally finished filming, I should say. Like it's been so rare since the Rise of Skywalker to like actually see. It's been rare in the sense that I don't think we have not gotten a single Star Wars movie since that trilogy wrapped. For them to announce it, cast it, film it, and now have done filming it, I mean, it's making it less and less likely that this movie will get canceled, right? And I don't think they're gonna Batgirl this movie, John. So yeah, Starfighter, we're gonna get this thing. It's closer to being a reality. And the fact that not much is leaked about this so far, like, the behind the scenes stuff, is another thing I mean, not that it's, this is a new story, so it's not like, people will immediately recognize something. That's the idea behind this. But I'm happy. I'm happy to see this, because a good Star Wars movie is what I think a lot of people would appreciate. And Andor was an example of that, because like with Star Wars at its best, at what it's capable of, the potential of the franchise. And I'm not saying this is going to be Andor, but like hopefully it's good. I mean, Sean Levy made Night of the Museum movies. And I don't know, like I don't know if that's a good comparison in this case or not, but I'll take it. So
yeah.
Oh, you know what? Speaking of the new Mando trailer before Avatar, John, that's what we're talking about next. That MTG, I love this trailer. If only for the Dejarik game, like the brought to life, because like the last bit of this trailer that's now leaked online, because Disney's not gonna put this online. I think that the version of the trailer we got a little while ago is for a long while is gonna be the one. So, John, did you get to watch this? Because this has some new shots from what we saw before.
About this.
But you remember the Dejarik game from the original Star Wars movie, like that?
Plus, I don't think
Chewie's
you can
playing?
find it because it says not found. So,
damn it, did they kill it already? Oh, that's stupid. Okay, I guess they got to it. Oh, yeah, but you basically get to see. Yeah, you basically get to see. You get to see that board game come to life. Like I didn't know that was like based on like an actual thing in the Star Wars universe. I guess that's just me, but it looks fun. This is actually, it feels like Mandalorian season 1 and season 2 more so than Mandalorian season 3. So that to me is encouraging. Also, John Favreau, not John Cereso, but John Favreau said we were planning on doing a 4th season. I actually had written all of that. It still have season 4 sitting on my desk here. So, I mean, I know that they're meant to potentially do a trilogy of these if this one does well. I still wouldn't mind seeing a 4th season of Mandalorian and Grogu if that, well, just a Mandalorian,
Then, like, what the fuck is the point of the movie?
I don't know.
The point of the movie was to see like a climax for the series. Like, that's the vibe I'm getting.
I guess John Favreau said it's structured around a movie structure, as in it's a 3-act movie structure, as opposed to a serialized weekly television show. So he's saying there's a larger
ass. So I don't know.
Well, it was season 3 was ass, but like so John Favreau was saying there's a larger throw to the whole thing. AKA he's saying that the scope of this movie is bigger. They have more money to spend on this, and it's a 3-act structure movie rather than a TV show, which is like multi-episode. So I get that like this will be different. I just hope that it's the good kind of different, like the way the original season was. Like I want like this is the way it needs to mean something again, you know, and not just be a meme. Like the first Mandalorian like brought Star Wars fans together in a way that it hadn't been possible for a long time. And by season 3, it just was as divisive as the worst of Star Wars we have seen under Disney. So hopefully they're getting back to the the season 1 levels of goodness. So anyway, that's just my take. I know you don't care, John, but I'm hoping that you will be pleasantly surprised when it comes out.
Oh, I'm not fucking watching this shit. I gave up on Star Wars a long time ago. I'm not watching this crap. No. Hell no.
Okay.
Like if I still cared about Star Wars, I would have watched Andor because I heard it was amazing.
Yeah.
So I was like, but I'm not even watching that. Like I don't care.
Okay. Well,
Hell
moving
no.
on then.
Anyway, but we're moving on to click it time. Oh, where is it? Okay, there it is. Okay.
By the way, if those icons are really tiny on your screen, John, there's a certain thing you can do with the keyboard called Control Plus, and it will make the icons bigger. Because you know how like yesterday you couldn't see the lower third?
Yeah, it's like, where is everything? Anyway, speaking of where is everything, where is Godzilla Minus Zero? Because that's all I care about. I want it yesterday. But, you know, Godzilla Minus One maker Toho setting up European headquarters in UK and buying Anime Limited. So
this is great.
That's interesting.
Dude, Anime Limited is based in Glasgow, so you know I shared this with Fiona, and she was like, "Oh snap, yep." So I'm glad Toho is doing this because maybe they're looking to expand their footprint. And Godzilla Minus One was amazing. What's the next one called? Godzilla Minus Zero.
Godzilla Minus Zero.
Yeah, I can't wait. This will be fun.
Best
Whatever
visual effects winner of 2023.
Yeah. On a
Deserving.
shoestring budget compared to what Marvel has.
Like
So.
literally the epitome of Toho built this in a cave with a pile of scraps. Like literally, fun fact. So when they released it for the 70 was it the 80th anniversary of, or was it the 8 or 70? It was like the 60. It was an anniversary. It was last year. It was in 2024. I think it was the 60th or the 70th anniversary. I can't do math. It's fine. It's like fucking 2 a.m. I'm tired. But they released it, but they were also released like behind the scenes stuff. And there was also a like Q&A with the director, which was nice to see. I was the only one in the theater watching it because I was the only one who cared about like the Q&A part. But they were showing off like behind the scenes of how they did certain effects. And there was one where, I don't know if you remember the movie, but there's a scene, like it was the big scene where Godzilla, it's like you hear the steps, the fucking music comes in, and there he is, and it's like the school teacher character, I forget her name, like she sees, and it's like great build up, wonderful scene. And there is a scene where like newscasters are like reporting on like Godzilla being shown, and he knocks into the building and they start like falling off and all that shit. Well, apparently that scene was a green screen attached to the back of a truck with like hydraulics, and that was it. It was filmed in a parking lot with a green screen attached to a truck with I'm not making this up. Like literally hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars for all these fucking Marvel movies, and a green screen in a parking lot. That's the thing that gets the Oscars, made for $10 million. Because everyone was saying, oh, it was a $15 million movie. The director's like, I wish I had $15 million. No, we had more like $10 million. And they win the Oscar. So suck it, Kevin Feige. Suck fucking, the director of Godzilla Minus One's name, I can't remember right now. Suck his fucking dick. You fucking loser. You and your stupid bald head and your stupid baseball cap. Fuck you. And your bullshit.
literally this should have led to like a Kevin Feige screaming at his lieutenants at Disney of Toho, made that movie with a pile of scraps in a cave,
in a parking lot.
In a parking lot with a green screen on a truck in a parking lot.
It's exactly what it was. And I was like, there were like maybe one or two. I didn't want to be rude, but I wanted to yell out in the theater, "Are you fucking kidding me right now?" Like, and what was so funny is I remember like, I'm gonna look up his name because I feel terrible not remembering his name.
How dare you, John? How dare you not know this man's name?
Takashi Yamazaki. That was his name. Takashi Yamazaki. They invited him to screen Godzilla -1 for people at Marvel. That's like showing a monkey The Godfather and expecting some kind of fucking result. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like, oh, what do you think that this is gonna fucking mean something? Like, oh, you're gonna actually like have some inspiration and your VFX artists are gonna create gold from shit? No, you're just gonna make another shitty ass fucking movie with Anthony Mackie's fucking hair chopped off, telling about how friendship is magic to the Red Hulk in order to get him to calm down. Fuck out of here with that shit. Fucking losers.
I think it's more of a foundational, like, you make the most of what you have, and then you work like you put a creative in a box, and you tell them to like find their way out of it. Like, that's whereas with Marvel, it just seems like they've always had all the resources, and we've talked about this before. Like, sometimes the best work from creatives is when they have they get put in a corner and they need to fight their way out of it. Like, that's so. Anyway.
Yeah. But anyway, let's move. Let's make sure that these are actually quick. Disney's live action Tangled, because it wasn't going to be made, and then Lilo and Stitch was a hit. Now it's being made again. But Sarah Catherine Hook, Tegan Croft, who famously played Raven on the God Awful Titans show, Freya Sky, and Olivia Mae Barrett up for a Rapunzel role. Milo Manheim and Charlie Gillespie are among the young men who have a dream to make it to the top of the tower as Disney test actors to the next screen. Big adaptation. Cool, great. Tegan Croft is the only name I know, but like, congrats to them, I guess, because I don't really care about.
I mean, they're in the short list. Isn't this so? Remember, I think Scarlett Johansson kind of dropped out of this. Because remember, she was
supposed to be Mother Gothel, which would have been really interesting.
So to make her schedule work with The Exorcist and the Batman Part 2, I think she's no longer involved with this. But anyway, moving on.
Hold on. But yeah, moving on. Natasha Lyonne sets next feature film as Bambo, not like a weird Bambi ripoff, but Leone will write, direct, and produce the 80-set boxing movie. The former Poker Face star previously announced her feature directorial debut with AI film Uncanny Valley. So it's Bambo, and it's going to be a boxing movie. So I assume it's like kind of like a play on Rambo, even though that's not the R Sylvester Stallone movie that's we're talking about here, because like that would be Rocky. Be more like Baki. It would be the parody of that, but I don't really know.
I mean, she's gonna produce, write, and direct it, so good for her. I don't know if she's gonna be in the movie herself, but yeah, I mean, she's doing like an AI thing movie too, which is interesting. So yeah, good for Natasha Lyonne. I would like to see her back in the new Fantastic Four movies, and have a bigger part to play. That's what I care about.
Yeah. I wish it wasn't making an AI movie, but that's beside the point. SAG-AFTRA National Board unanimously ratifies first intimacy coordinator union contract. The deal inducts these workers into unions' health and pension plans and establishes minimum wage rates and overtime rules. Congrats to them, because intimacy coordinators are becoming very, 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 very important in Hollywood right now. Great way to do any uncomfortable scenes in regards to actors or actresses, whether it's sex, nudity, that kind of thing. So that's really good.
I agree.
Good for them.
This is important. You know what? The biggest thing about this is that now, because they have a contract, this allows them to buy into the health plans and pension plans from the union, because before they couldn't. Like, it's just you had these jobs have been on sets for years, but it wouldn't count towards like your SAG-AFTRA. Like, if it just wouldn't count towards any kind of health and pension plan from a union. So that's life changing for somebody who wants to make this their career. Like now you can actually just be an intimacy coordinator and just be that. That's good. Hi Decole. So yeah, and AI can't take their jobs. Yeah, exactly. I don't think AI will have the nuance to do this job for a long, long time. But anyway.
Anywho, Squid Game's dominance, Bluey streak, and more hidden TV ratings numbers of 2025.
Okay.
So
we don't need to talk about all of these. I think the only one, if you're gonna go down and like find the one about Bluey, because like there's a bunch of like underrated like stats here, but like 163 consecutive weeks is how long Bluey made Nielsen's top 10 streaming charts. That's the longest such
Bluey's
run for any
big,
show in
not
5+ years. That's ridiculous. There's a reason why they're working on a Bluey movie. But anyway, let's keep on going.
It's gonna make billions, Dan. It's gonna make billions.
Yeah.
Speaking of billions, oh wait, wrong show. Sorry. White Lotus casts Alexander Ludwig and AJ Machaca for season 4. Remember for all the Disney heads. Remember AJ Machaca? She was in all those Disney shows and movies.
AJ
Good times.
Allie,
Glad she's moving on to bigger, better things. So.
Isn't it her and then she has a sister too? She was in the Phil from the Future.
I think so.
Oh yeah, yep.
But
and he was in Race to Witch Mountain. Alexander Ludwig. He was in the with Dwayne the Rock Johnson, right? The race.
Yes.
Do you remember the Race to Witch?
And she was also
Mountain?
in Goldbergs. That was
yes. She was. You're right.
Modern.
Yes. Yeah.
Things.
Well, the White Lotus. I forget where they go. Are they going to France next season? Yeah, I think so. Anyway.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, dogs do love Bluey. That's true. That's true, Monique.
I think it's important for I think Bluey is very, very important, and I'm glad that it exists. Even though I don't watch it, I'm not interested in it. But like, it's one of those things. I'm like, you know what? They deserve that. It's better than fucking like whatever garbage is being spewed on Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon nowadays. But anyway, Assassin's Creed Laura Marcus joins Netflix live-action series based on video game. Discount Mia Goth over here and her non-existent eyebrows. I don't know who this is. I hope the show is good. Yeah.
Same here. You know what? Hopefully it's better than the movie. So.
Yep. Gordon Ramsay entering scripted TV game with cutthroat cooking school drama starring Rachel Bilson for Fox Entertainment Studios. Cool.
Yeah,
as long as he's calling someone a fucking donkey, then that's all I care about.
Sure, this will be fun.
Indeed. BET sets return of Tyler Perry's Sisters.
John, your favorite show is back. Season 10.
I'm not black. I don't watch BET. I don't know what this is.
I've been sitting on this Quicket for 2 days. I just wanted to throw it in before the end of the week.
I don't fucking. Why did you include this? Like, I don't get it. Like, what is the joke here? What am I missing?
I don't know. I just thought this would be fun to talk about.
Okay, like Tyler Perry, the thing that's like propping BET, like the entire network with his 17 million shows, and also like Empire and Power. It's just like, okay, sure. Ew, gross.
Well,
it's on BET. The black folk watch it. I don't watch it. I'm not black. So if you like it, cool. If you know what this is and you're happy it's coming back, then fucking congratulations. I'm not watching it. Going back to generic white people stuff, Taylor Swift.
No, you know, John, I was going to say, you know who does watch it probably? It's... Now I'm forgetting the name of the character from the first Suicide Squad movie. Remember? Killer Croc.
Yeah,
Killer Croc.
BET with his fucking plasma screen and his fucking like fucking goon cave, whatever the fuck that was.
Yeah.
Honestly, but the thing is, they're on like cable TV, so they probably don't say the N-word that much. But you know.
Anyway, let's keep on going.
Taylor Swift's mother helped start relationship with Travis Kelce. Eras tour doc reveals. Okay, cool. Why do we care? We don't care. So moving on. Sony strikes $457 million deal to acquire majority stake in Peanuts brand. I'm sure this won't go horribly wrong.
So they already own like 40-something%. So now they basically own 80% of it, and 20% is owned by the original family that owns this brand. And pretty much Apple like has the monopoly on this because they've got like movies on the way and TV shows and stuff and holiday
They've been
specials.
producing a lot of stuff for Apple TV Plus.
Yeah.
I just know I have my DVDs in my house, so I don't got to worry about any of this. And I have the Peanuts movie, so that's all I care about.
Yeah. Anyway, there you go.
Anywho, Rob Reiner, remembering Rob Reiner, Billy Crystal, Albert Brooks, Martin Short, Larry David, more remember the man who brought us a lot of great films. And this is a bit much, like, no, I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but there is no other director who has his range. There are many, but like, sure, for the sake of argument, sure.
I think it's more just remembering. There's not. I mean, you could still say that not many directors have the ability to operate in so many genres and do it successfully. So yeah, and Rob Reiner, of course, I think it's been a shock to everybody, you know, and especially the circumstances of his passing. So yeah.
Yeah. But anywho, but this is more about Mr. Reiner and you know, just the director's kill, just kind of talking about him and his great work. Obviously, you can see the full interview probably on YouTube somewhere or whatever the director's kill is linking to. But yeah,
well, I thought this was interesting because the way he talks about like filming that scene and When Harry Met Sally is like they literally had like these sets like built on the same stage and they were doing it in real time, which is kind of, you know, it made for a more natural conversation, like that famous phone call scene, than if they shot them separately and like somebody was just feeding the actor the lines off, you know, from the other. Anyway, it's kind of interesting. Again, like he was this dude, like, yeah, it just goes back to show you like he was a very talented director at the peak of his prime. So yeah.
But next up, Jimmy Kimmel tearfully thanks viewers after a hard year. You literally pulled us out of a hole. That's nice to say. Again, I don't like Jimmy Kimmel that much, but considering the whole thing that was that and the reason why it was like that was not great. So, you know, I'll give Jimmy Kimmel the W in this case. Like,
yeah,
all
it's
right,
also
sure.
Like he's one of those, like, not every late night host is as candid with his audiences as he is. So it's good to, I mean, again, he's always been very much like that, and so yeah, it was an emotional moment, but and you know, a good way to wrap up the year for him because he's not gonna be live next week. He doesn't do Friday shows. That's why it was a Thursday thing. So anyway,
yeah. Then the final quick hit. It's about Kumail Nanjiani, and he wishes every person could try his grandmother's biryani. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. Okay.
No, that's correct. Biryani, dude.
Biryani. Okay.
One day I'll make sure you try my mother's biryani because the whole idea was that I think if you just try each other's like food, like bringing people together through food is like a great way to break down those barriers.
I mean, this was made in like the context of a joke, but it's just, but like Sam Morrill had like a really good joke. He's like, honestly, it's just like food. It's just like food is just a great way to. He's like, you can't be racist when you're having good food, man. Like. You could be the most hardcore white supremacist, and then you have some soul food. You're like, you know what? They're not that bad. So it's just like he has like this whole joke. It's a bit more like darkly humorous, but he has a point where he's like, but then he goes on and he's like, man, gay guys need to start having food because, man, maybe less people would be homophobic if the gays have their own food. So, and he's like, hey, you want to order in some gay tonight? He's like, nah, that shit tears my ass up. So, you know. So, you know, I mean, it's just also, like it's true though. It's just like when you're eating good food,
right.
It's just like nobody's against anybody.
Yeah.
So, sitting down, eat. I mean, I did have, you know, like terrible microwavable tikka masala earlier, but you know, gets the job done.
I mean, look, Kumail Nanjiani and I are both from Pakistan, so I'm always gonna be down for some good biryani. So awesome.
Like, what is it? I'm just curious. Like.
It's like flavored rice with different kinds of meats. You can have it with chicken. You can have it with lamb or with shrimp. Even like there's different kinds. Fish biryani.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Damn, now I'm fucking hungry again. Damn it, Dan.
Sorry.
I'm hungry. Fuck.
Sorry.
Anyway, let's end the quick hit segment. Get this fucking bossa nova elevator music off, and then go into, you know, thanking the audience about you know, for the news portion of the show, because we're done with the news portion. Now we're going to get into DCU Daily, and then we're going to try and get through Fancast Friday very quickly. But thank you for watching this side of the show. Yeah. Anyway, so let's be hashtag blessed and get into DCU Daily.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
Right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts.
Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you really I'm doing sublime. I never wait in a stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all in the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
Hunka hunka!
Hello, welcome to DCU Daily, guys. We're here. I'm John. Nice to see you. We're gonna get into a couple of DCU things, mainly quick hit things, but we're gonna be getting into some good news stuff now. Dan's here.
Hi.
Well, not
the voice of Dan.
from like a voice. He's a voice. It's okay.
The voice of Dan. I'm the voice of Dan. Yeah.
Behold, face of God.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, the 4-hour WB merger stream. We already did that. But in case you're interested, I'm glad to just sit there and do like an ASMR video to explain it all over again, Eric. So yeah.
Oh. Of course, when I redo the page, it doesn't. All right. Well, I tried. It was okay for a second, and now the page can't load. So that's
what are you talking about?
So initially it was Tom King talking about Supergirl, and then I wanted to try and reload the page to start it from the beginning, and then now it doesn't work.
You know what? It's Tom King. You don't really care, so like let's move on.
Yeah, it's just Tom King. He's talking about how, you know, just talking about like his work in regards to, you know, Supergirl, how that's leading into the movie, that kind of thing. So, you know, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I tried.
Anyway. Justice League. The little banner at the beginning, I tried. Was that everybody thought that was Joss Whedon's way of telling the audience that he tried, and it didn't actually work. So
yeah. Anyway, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, did I manage to get this to work? I don't fucking know. I'm trying my best here.
Well, basically, the news was that the DC has just announced the reign of the Superboys. Is that there? Right there.
Yeah. This
John,
one is Facebook being, you know, good.
Yeah. Why don't you talk us
meta.
through this? This looks interesting.
Anyway, but essentially what it's saying here, DC Comics announces the reign of the Superboys, an overarching story tying into several ongoing comics, including Superman, Supergirl, Action Comics, and Superman Unlimited. The books will see Clark Kent go missing and be replaced by Superboy Prime, the whiny little bitch boy from fucking Crisis on Infinite Earths. But, you know, I'm intrigued with this. It looks like, you know, the thing I'm intrigued with is, like, it looks like they have a younger John Kent, which I'm like, that's interesting. I might read that because aging up John was probably the dumbest decision they ever did. So, you know, fuck Dan DiDio, but, you know. Yeah.
Yeah,
This could be good. This could be fun. You know, whatever it is. But yeah.
I don't have anything else to add to this. I
think the poster's cool.
Yeah, it looks nice. I don't know why Superman has to die, but anyway, whatever. I'm not.
No, he's not dying. He's going missing.
Missing. Whatever. It's like, you know, Gotham Knights. It's fine. It's
Anyway, but next up, Red Sun Collectibles. Their dad recently came back from a trip to the Netherlands and brought them back a 2026 calendar. Ain't that nice, Stan? Isn't that nice?
That is nice. That is nice. Bulls
and
watch.
You can see like Superman, look up, last son of Krypton, Krypto, look up again, like in front of the logo, Superman, like all that stuff.
I might actually
take me home.
I don't really hang up calendars anymore because
Neither
it's
do I.
2025, but maybe this would be worth getting just to collect. But you know what I did get? And it kind of got destroyed in the shipping, so I had to order it again. But I actually got the art and making a Superman book, which if I was on camera, I would show off. So maybe I'll do that another day.
But speaking of the Art of Superman book, this person was doing kind of a whole video on it. So
she's doing her own. She's like playing Lois Lane, and she gets gifted this by Jimmy Olsen, and so it's like a whole skit. But I mean,
Yeah,
remember James Gunn promoted this around Thanksgiving time, and then I went and bought it. It was like 50. It's like $50, and you can get a discount on it if you find a code. So it looks beautiful. It is beautiful. I flipped through a few pages.
Are you talking about the book or the person in the sketch? Because I agree with both.
Sure, I said it is beautiful. So the book, but
I'm talking about Enterprising. They said
Enterprising.
Beautiful.
Okay.
I'm like, well, what are you talking about?
Well, there you go.
Anyway, but speaking of Lex Luthor and can't standing him, 1A. Nicholas Hoult, Lex Luthor makes his Injustice debut. We did kind of briefly talk about this, referencing Superman's most infamous moment. So essentially, a new threat rises from the DC universe, and this is for Injustice 2 Mobile. And yeah, he can be unlocked for free via the game's login calendar from the 15th to the 23rd. So you have 3 more days if all 3 people who still have Injustice 2 on mobile and you want to unlock them, there you go. You can do that now. But it includes the addition of his Raptors as allies and Ali's murder, where he gets shot in the head with a revolver. So there was that. But
the way you said that was weird. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna be playing this myself.
No, who fucking still plays Injustice 2? Like.
But yeah, 1A that like button, please. We do appreciate that if you're enjoying. There you go.
Yes.
You know that last time he says it almost feels like he just had an orgasm. Like
that's what I was thinking.
Right?
Not gonna lie.
It's like he's climaxing as he says it.
Like, honestly, we know he just wants to fuck Superman at this point. Like, we didn't think that the Luthor-Clark relationship could get gayer than Smallville, yet here we are. Like, they seriously made this, like, the gayest fucking thing ever. So, I agree.
Yeah, it's usually, you know what? I bet you James Gunn probably told him that was his direction. You need to do this as if you're, jerking off and now you're climaxing at the last time you say it. So it's like 1A, like, just let it all out. I'll have what Lex is having. Yes, exactly.
Slander. What are you slandering? What am I slandering? What did I do now?
I think he's a big fan of Smallville. That's probably why.
Edging? No. If he was edging, he wouldn't be climaxing. That's the thing. Edging is where you stop yourself from coming, So, no, he's not edging. Well, Joker's gay for well, yeah, we knew that. Like, it's just like, all the things are gay. Anyway, but Clayface...
Not that there's anything wrong with that, by the way.
Not like there's anything wrong with that. Anyway,
yeah.
But DC Studios is set to receive the first full cut of Clayface in January. But this is coming from Brandon Davis BD. So I don't know how true this is. They're a scooper, so
no. Brandon Davis usually does a lot of these interviews. I mean, he's got more access to like he talked to James Gunn not that long ago about Superman and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't.
Although he did say tall, dark, and Martian is not his type, so you know.
I would say this is probably closer to being true than it is to being false. And it also lines up with the timeline because I think James Gunn also mentioned not too long ago that he was still waiting to get the first cut of Clayface, and given it comes out in September, I'd imagine they would at least have a cut ready for review sometime by January. It makes sense, even if it's not exact timeline. I think it's close enough. So yeah. I mean, John, what are you excited about Clayface at this
Oh
point
yeah,
based on what
that's
you've
the
seen?
one thing in 2026 I'm actually excited for DC. Like, it's got an actor I like, it's got a director I kind of like, it's got a script writer I love. I love the vibe, I love the idea. Clayface is a character we really like. We haven't gotten on screen yet. Yeah, he's not fighting Batman, but like honestly, I'm still excited for it because Mike Flanagan's fucking goated. So I'm stoked for this.
Yeah. It looks like I
Yellow.
said, this could work out really well. Oh, hello. Or it could just be terrible. But honestly, like the
Can't be any worse
fact that
than
it's going to be
Entrance.
like given that they're not shooting it, well, they're not giving it as big of a budget. Like it's got a very low bar to clear. Like it makes $150 million, it's going to be profitable. So as long, I mean, the biggest thing with this movie is going to be if it's got good ratings. Like if the critics love it and the audiences love it, because it's not going to need to make $500 million to be successful. So yeah.
Anyway, but next up, Man of Tomorrow. James Gunn's Happy Holidays card leads to speculation that, spoiler, our favorite character will return. But it was then that filmmaker James Gunn said, when people ask me my favorite character from Superman, it might just be Mr. Handsome. Lex created Mr. Handsome in a Petri dish when he was 12. He was trying to make a human. He didn't come out so well, but he just might be the only one in the world Lex has any true sentiment for, as evidenced by the photo on his desk. So with all of that, Mr. Handsome appears in this holiday card that James Gunn posted on Instagram. So will Mr. Handsome return? Somehow Mr. Handsome returned, and do you think he will actually?
I mean, if you look at did you look at the card? If you scroll down,
I did this.
It makes. I mean, I'm not surprised. Well, yeah, I think he's gonna be back because like Lex Luthor's gonna be back. The dude literally has a photo of Mr. Handsome on his desk. It's like clearly this dude has problems. I mean, granted now he's in prison, but like sure, maybe one of the things, he might be like, I want my bird, except he's like, I want Mr. Handsome. Like, he's gonna do that instead. So yeah, I can't wait.
Maybe he has a thing for Mr. Handsome. Who knows?
Maybe he does. Maybe that's who he was climaxing to when he said 1A.
Maybe.
Anyway. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Just
but this is this is the famous interview with Jason Momoa where he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna play Lobo, right?" And then Zack Snyder's like, "Nah, bro, you're playing fucking Aquaman." He's like, "What?"
It's just like I can't believe, because remember this is from like Aquaman Lost Kingdom promotional marketing, and like I can't believe they let this footage out as part of that, especially in hindsight now. I'm just like, yeah, we are getting to DCU Daily After Dark at this point. But just because it's just like completely shits on the idea of Jason Momoa as Aquaman. Because it's like Zack Snyder was
in
building
like
it up.
discussion for like,
I mean, come
Aquaman
on.
2. So like,
it just, I'm like, it completely undercuts the whole Aquaman thing, because this was from the time when they were making those Aquaman movies. So I'm like, why would you put it out there?
Aquaman 2.
Yeah, like why would you put it out there? It's like it completely like shits on Zack Snyder's the casting of Jason Momoa.
Good, because Jason Momoa as Aquaman, I'm not gonna say it was a terrible idea, but like, the man's Lobo. The man was born to play
No,
Lobo.
I'm not saying I don't agree with you. I just think like Warner Brothers marketing, like what kind of a stupid move was that? That's great. It's just hilarious because Zack Snyder was like, what? No, you're playing Aquaman. I just saw you as Aquaman because, like, of course, in Zack Snyder's mind, Jason Momoa was born to play Aquaman. So anyway.
Yeah, because he hasn't fucking read a single Aquaman comic in his entire fucking life. So I know Frank Miller's Batman. That's it. And I know the picture of him without a hand, and he has a long hair and a beard. Yeah, you're Aquaman.
I will say though, like he made Aquaman respectable and cool because remember the narrative around the character was,
and then Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom completely shit all over that. Whoopsie daisies.
Yeah. Jason Samosa. Okay, that's actually just racist. Sorry, man. Momoa.
Okay, goddamn, bro.
Wow.
Anyway, and then here's something about John Cena. It's not really DC related, but like John Cena.
This was just kind of, I mean, you know, Peacemaker. He just retired, and he was just like, you know, talking about his philosophy on life. He just tries to do better every day, which is like a good way to live your life. Like he values life is a gift. He won't always be around.
Oh, the
so he just tries to
1,000,
make
the
most,
400 and millionth fucking Make-A-Wish kid. He's fucking hugging in that
video. Yeah. Oh no, a samosa is not a drink. I think you're confusing that with a mimosa. Which, you know what, I understand if you confuse the mimosa with the samosa with the momoa, so like I totally get it. But yeah, 3 entirely different things. And yes, Aquaman did make $1 billion, Monique. We're not saying that Jason Momoa didn't play a good Aquaman. It's just from a casting standpoint, it was very
weird pick.
off type.
Weird pick.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's it for the quick hit side of things. But now we get into Supergirl stuff, and let me get where are you? Is it that? Nope, that's Lanterns. Nope.
Control plus, John. Control plus. There you go.
There it is.
Yes. There we go. Yeah, samosas are delicious. I actually had some today.
Bro, I need to like zoom in like 1,000% to just see this. So it's like, nah, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Nah,
anyway.
fam, I'm okay. All right, cool.
But we have some Supergirl related news next. And Caleb, you should buckle your seatbelt a little bit because I think you'll be particularly excited about this very special news in regards to Supergirl. So we're gonna get into this.
That is so accurate. I love this. Oh my god, we were prepared.
Is that our boy Seth Rogen, our man of the studio, apparently has a voice role in Supergirl, maybe, kind of, sort of. Dan, do you think there's any credence to this?
So, this is so perfect. This is so perfect. This show is built for this story. But yeah, basically, I think this is from a rumor. I think from your favorite Hollywood insider. Yes, essentially, the rumor was that Seth Rogen might be voicing Krypto. If you go to the next article, we can talk about it in more detail. But I think this is coming from like the test screening reactions. So do you want to walk us through this?
So Jeff Snyder, Jeff Snyder revealed that his source told him about the next DCU movie, and a lot of things were similar. But Snyder adds that there will be a communication issues between Kara Zor-El and Superman because she will be speaking Kryptonian. We don't have any more kind of
We will get back to that. We will get back to that point in a
Snyder
minute because
has
that's
also heard that
interesting.
Seth Rogen will have a voice cameo. We have no idea which character Rogen will play, but there's some speculation that he will lend his voice to Krypto. Kara Superpooch didn't speak in James Gunn's Superman, but we know that planets with a red sun strip Kara of her powers. Is it possible that Krypto's physiology could also be altered? We can't really see this being the case. Krypto doesn't speak in The One of Tomorrow. I mean, he gets yeeted pretty early on, so and we'd say Rogen is more likely to voice one of the many aliens that will feature in the movie because, I mean, he does. And it is updated that Snyder confirmed that he will not be voicing Krypto, but he does play an alien in Invincible, so maybe it's like a tongue-in-cheek reference to that, if I were to take a guess.
Also, wasn't Seth Rogen one of the voices of the many Superman robots? Am I wrong about that? Oh, okay,
No.
maybe okay. But like him voicing a random character wouldn't be out of the question. Certainly, like one of the aliens, he might even show up as one of the aliens. I wouldn't mind seeing that, and I think that's not out of the realm of possibility at all. I do appreciate the theory that maybe one of the ways in which Superman is depowered, when he's not around the yellow sun, is he doesn't speak, but he doesn't speak in Superman, so I don't know how that would work, and it would be a little hard to. I mean, yes, this is a very elevated world where it's not the the world outside your window, DCU, but hello, Bane, but it just wouldn't make sense. No, like the Superman robots, like anyway, sorry, Caleb. It's Patton Oswalt could be another one. He could voice a character. By the way, okay, so it doesn't look like Seth Rogen will be voicing Krypto. He might be involved in some other way. James Gunn certainly, knows, and they have a good working relationship with Seth Rogen. He's, by the way, I think filming the second season of the studio now, so he's busy. He's got a lot going on. But John, there was that communication issue that Jeff Snyder brought up. So apparently, the insinuation is that this might be a flashback to when Supergirl first arrives on Earth, and she's talking to Superman, and she's talking in Kryptonian. Superman doesn't speak Kryptonian, even though he is Kryptonian because he, got her as a baby. And if you remember the other day, we were talking about Kara Zor-El, like Miliaka talking about her first day on set. She was filming this all Kryptonian scene with Superman, and she was freezing. So they were doing this somewhere that we speculated could be the Fortress of Solitude around there. And that it was all Kryptonian, so she didn't even understand what she was saying. But the point is, maybe that's Superman's cameo. Maybe it is a flashback to when she first arrived on Earth. And I don't know, John, what do you think? Because that the pieces line up. Maybe that's how we explore things. And so maybe the Supergirl we're seeing today is more like she's changed as she's learned to live on Earth.
Yeah, I mean, that's entirely possible. I think I think that could be a good limiting factor in terms of Superman. Like, oh, we saw her reach Earth. Like Argos, I assume they're probably gonna release flashbacks throughout the majority of the movie where it's like, oh, she's on Krypton, Argo City gets, packaged up and yeeted out into space, and then the whole thing with everyone dying of kryptonite poisoning, and then she gets yeeted away, and then she crash lands on Earth. And they try. I think that's a thing straight out of the New 52, if I remember correctly. When she lands on Earth, she tries to talk to Superman, but he can't understand her because I think that happened in the New 52. But I mean, that makes sense. And then the thing is, you also then don't have to worry about Superman throughout any place left of the movie because it's just a flashback sequence, which is good because I feel like in the present day story, I think focusing on Supergirl is the best course of action. And it's sort of like a having your cake and eating it too moment.
Yeah.
Where it's you have Superman's here, this is in the same continuity, all that shit. But at the same time, then you can just have the present day story of her, like Ruthie, Krem, all that shit, and have them, just be that story without having to worry about Superman. So I think that's a good. If that is the case, I'm not saying it's a bad thing that Superman would be in the movie at all if it's not a flashback sequence. I'm just saying I think it would be a little bit more interesting and creative.
Yeah, no, and I think the point I was trying to make earlier was also just the pieces fit. It makes sense that this is how that would all be working out, right? Miliaka talked about it, and the logic would then dictate that yes, that's how they first met. Maybe Superman didn't even realize that she was meant to be his cousin, and all that stuff. So yeah, I wonder how that will play into. Maybe Superman then comes back toward the end of the movie when Kara is back on Earth. Maybe she doesn't even make it back to Earth by the end of the movie. Who knows? So we'll see. Because I think the idea is that this movie is gonna then tease in some way Man of Tomorrow. So I wouldn't be surprised if he even get a Brainiac reference, if not a cameo. So yeah, but that sounds wonderful, and it sounds super fantastic. But John, I think that's all the DC specific news we have on DCU Daily. But as we do on Friday shows, we like to do a Q&A session before we wrap things up. Yeah. So let's get into the Q&A session, shall we?
Yes, very much so. You ask, we answer. We couldn't come up with a better slogan than that. So
sorry, it's I was in a hurry. I'll come up with a better one next time.
And guys, think of some slogans that we could put in the chat anyway.
Pray at the altar of our expertise. I don't know. We'll come up with something better.
Jordan James 9836 stated, Mad Hatter should be in the DCU Batman Brave and the Bold movie as one of the villains. I think that would be good because he's a character that has not been done before. I think getting someone, who could play that role fairly well. I remember Bill Skarsgård, not as Joker, but as Mad Hatter. I think that would be really cool. Or you could pick like a really short guy. That could be like a weird, like wormy, creepy guy. Maybe we could try to do that for a future Fancast Friday. But I think this would be great. Because not a lot of people know about him, and he's definitely could be very creepy, but just don't make him a pedophile. I think that would just be like kind of boring. Like it's like, oh, the weird creepy guy who is obsessed with Alice in Wonderland. Yeah, make him a pedophile. Boring. Been done to death in like fan films and shit like that. As long as they don't do that and just make it like overly edgy for no reason, I think we're good. I think Mad Hatter would be a good choice for a future Batman film, whether it's Brave and the Bold or otherwise. So.
Yeah.
No. I mean, that's like, here's the thing. What's so funny that proves that Paul Dano was not the Riddler. He was the Mad Hatter, but he was called the Riddler. It was like the whole basis of that character is the Mad Hatter. But, Matt Reeves made him the Riddler because he wanted to do the Riddler. But even though the personality and character fits the Mad Hatter way more than Riddler, but
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about that. Have you seen Bane in that show?
No, Gotham does not have the best versions of all the Batman villains.
Like, it had a really good Riddler. It had a really good Penguin.
Yo, yiggity, yo, 18. Come on.
But it had a good Riddler. It had a good Penguin. Maybe a couple others, but...
It didn't even have a real Joker. Like, it wasn't even the Joker. Like, it's... Come on. Anyway.
I mean, he was the Joker. He eventually became the Joker, but like, they couldn't use the iconic look of the Joker because of fucking insert rights bullshit here, so...
Yeah, so he wasn't the Joker. Anyway, I'm just, you know what? I'm not a fan of that show, so that's my bias.
Anyway, acres of movies. I think they showed up here. I don't know. If Avatar 3 makes less than 1.5 billion, will they stop the next one? Now, I know you already answered this in the comments, but I did want to kind of further discuss this since we, did a review for it today and we were talking about the projections. I honestly can see them being like, oh, it didn't make 2 billion, because Disney is kind of like that sometimes. Oh, it didn't make 2 billion, so we're not doing Avatar 4. As well as the fact, the thing that had me like really thinking that was James Cameron kept talking about it, like, oh, if this fails, I'm gonna make a book. If this fails, I'm gonna work on other stuff. He was talking about this movie failing a lot, so I'm like, you had confidence at one point, but it sounds like you kind of don't anymore.
It's also the more interviews, because here's the thing, I thought that too, but the more interviews you listen to and read about from James Cameron leading up to the movie's release, it's not just that he's talking about it Avatar failed. He's also talking about it in the general sense that he just wants to do some other stuff regardless of how good this movie does. And it's like he seems to have, like, if you answer the same question 50,000 times over the course of a few weeks promoting the same movie, you're gonna start to like think about that at a deeper level, and then your answers will evolve. So I think he's started to like more overtly make mention of the idea that he wants to do these other things, because I'm sure he realizes the dude is in his 70s, right? Like he's almost 80 years old. Like you don't want to like be in the ground or like close to it and be like, I didn't work on the 5 of the things I wanted to do because I spent the last 20 years of my life working on Avatar movies, which have been the love of his life, like in terms of like movie making. Like it's not like he's not having fun and doing great work, but clearly I think he feels that need. And then, as a creative, you do. There's a reason why, like, actors leave those Law and Order and NCIS or what, like, shows, like, after being on there for 10-15 years, because they want to do something different. Like, you want to, like, he's probably tired of looking at the Na'vi at like literally every day for the last 10 years, 15 years. So I understand, but John, as far as the question goes, I don't think that will stop them from making the 4th movie.
You mean Megalopolis, but I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah. Like, Avatar 3, even if it doesn't make 1.5 billion, they're gonna make a 4th one. They already shot some stuff for it. I'm not saying that's the only reason why they need to make that, but Disney, like, $1.5 billion warrants a sequel in pretty much every instance.
But there is also the idea of, like, this costs like $500 million to make, which is like, and that doesn't include marketing. So like, you know.
Yeah, well, I hear you, but you know what? Like, it doesn't matter though, because the movie makes its money back and then some. And for Disney, these things are also like merchandising and everything else, licensing and everything else that goes along with it. So this movie would have to be like underperforming to the level of making the kind of money that Batman v Superman made. Like if this thing bottoms out at $891 million, that's the only scenario in which I think they're gonna just shelve it.
Right.
Because other than that, if it makes $1 billion to $1.5 billion to anywhere over that, they're gonna make a fourth one. Like James Cameron said, he might just take a hiatus. He might not be as directly. I mean, like for a director, I don't know what he means by he might not be as closely involved in it. Like maybe he doesn't direct it. Maybe that's what he means. Like, or I don't know. Like, but they're gonna do a fourth one. It's highly unlikely they don't do a fourth one. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, it's just well, we'll see. I don't think it'll make 2 billion. If it does, I'm not going to be surprised, but I think it'll make like 1.8, maybe close to 1.9. I just don't 1.5 to 1.9. I think that's what it'll make, and then we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, he already said though he's not having anyone else direct Avatar. I mean, we talked about that the other day. He's like, I'm not having anybody else direct these movies. I'm going to be the only person directing these movies. So, you know.
Well, there you go. That's one less thing to worry about.
So now that brings us to our last bit of the Q&A session for today. I don't know what. Okay, so this was on, like, we were talking about.
I didn't understand.
Man of Steel. So D. Ross, aka I think Manos, can't wait for DC's Bulge of Tomorrow. I don't know if you're like insinuating like Supergirl has a bulge. I don't think Millie Alcock has that, but you know, I'm not judging. She could, whatever she is or isn't, that's fine with me. I'm just I wanted to include this because he left a time code. Like it was like 1 hour into a certain live show, and clicking on it is like nothing. Like it doesn't talk about bulge stuff. It doesn't talk about anything specific. It's just very confusing, but it's so funny that I wanted to include it.
Maybe, you know what it is? Maybe he's talking about like Man of Tomorrow, Bulge of Tomorrow, because like Superman is back, and
I guess so.
Like it could be that. It's
maybe.
Because the closest thing I could think of in the moment is like, yeah, Millie Alcock has a pair of bulges, but that's not quite the same thing that we talked about
globes,
with Superman.
But like as Jeremy Renner would say, J-Lo at the Golden Globes. But you know,
yeah, Man of Tomorrow is probably what he was referencing. So
anyway,
who doesn't love a trap? There you go. See, that's what that
Fred
was.
Jones loves traps, so you know. But also don't call transformer penises traps, because that's actually kind of offensive, so don't actually say that. Anyway,
exactly.
Just don't. It's jokes, but just like don't say that, because it is actually kind of offensive. Anyway, we're getting away from that side of things and just talking about how we're doing Fancast Friday next. We're gonna make this the quickest Fancast Friday. It's gonna be like 10 minutes because I want to go to bed. So, you know, it'll be fine. It'll be great. Anyway, but thanks for watching, guys. We love and appreciate all of you. And thanks all for watching. And we're going to be #blessed at the beginning and #blessed at the end. So see you for Fancast Friday. Just give us a couple minutes and we will get started on that as soon as possible. See you then.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see chorus.
Right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts.
Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in a stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all on the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I Leto.
Hunka hunka!
And fuck Jeff Snyder and fuck Tom King.